your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been.
Happy Monday, everyone. Ron Potesta with you. Anthony alongside the ride. Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point, the show where, if you listen to Anthony, he is going to give you the winner of the PGA Tour. Dustin Johnson wins over the weekend. Well played, sir. We are not worthy.
Right? I was close the first time we guessed. Got Webb Simpson, then he won the next week. And I think I just had to readjust just a little notch, maybe catch the wind a little bit,
All right.
Nailed it.
All I know is Wednesday we have our boy from Mill Creek, Mr. Tolnar, coming on, and then you're going to make the announcement of who you believe is going to win. Mm-hmm. I am then going to, after the show is over, get on 11 South, head down to Chester, West Virginia, go to the sports book, and immediately put money down on whoever you are going to tell me who's going to win. And if you win, you get a cut.
Yeah.
You get a cut. It's like an agent. You get a certain amount of money on that.
I think Dustin Johnson would have been a pretty. I mean, I think his odds were like 30 to 1 or something like that to win this week. So it would have been a pretty good bet.
$100 bet would have gotten you $3,000.
So
that's not too shabby.
And he looked bad after one round. He did not have a good Thursday, but then he had an amazing Friday and Saturday. I think he shot 61 on Saturday.
Yes, he did.
Put himself in position there, and then won on Sunday.
It was fantastic. Let's get to the phone lines real quick. Rich, you're on the YSN hotline. What's up, brother?
Good afternoon, young man. Ron.
What up, brother?
Well, how'd the weekend go with your 30-year-old nephew? Did you survive it?
I did. It was fun. He has one of those above-ground pools, which I did not want any part of. But it was good. It was a good time. He's about to be a father for the second time. Baby number 2 is due in late September, so I get to be a great uncle one more time, which makes it 8 or 9 for me now. So life is good. Yeah, life is good.
Well, I remember when I turned 30, I was sitting in my grandmother's kitchen. And she says, well, how's it feel to be 30? I'm like, wow. I said, going from 29 to 30 was different, Grandma, because now this is the first decade I've been responsible for myself. And she looked at me and gave me a smack in the head and said, wait till you turn 60 or 70.
I gotta tell you, Rich, when I turned 25 and 30, I was not a happy camper. Those two numbers were god-awful for me. When I turned 40, no problem. When I turned 50, no problem. But 25 and 30 was a bit of a culture shock for me.
Oh yeah. By the way, is Anthony with you?
Yeah, he's here.
I'm here.
Hello, Anthony. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a nice weekend. The golfer I picked won, so I'm feeling pretty high right now.
The only thing I did was hide in the nearest shade tree this past weekend. I remember turning 50 and 60 was not a problem. I'm looking forward to 70. By this time, I realized that I've earned it.
There you go. And the older you get, the less filter you have, which is kind of a disturbing thought because I hardly have a filter now, so I can only imagine what I'm going to be like when I'm 70.
Well, that's a good thing. You got it earlier than I did, and it's a good thing because you'll be well prepared.
Well, this is true. Yeah, this is true.
Anyway, I guess we're going to have some baseball now, huh?
July 1st, everyone's going to go to spring training. Later in the month, we'll have some baseball. And truth be told, if you're an Indians fan, if you're a Pirates fan, your schedule really isn't all that bad. The AL and the NL Central are filled with haves and have-nots. The Pirates are a have-not because most everyone is injured. You got the Cubs and the Cardinals, maybe the Reds and the Brewers. Pirates are in the background. And the AL Central, Kansas City and Detroit are rebuilding, so you're probably not going to see much from them. Although, again, a 60-game season, you might be surprised. Chicago to me is the wild card.
I'll tell you, the Royals have the offense.
They do.
Down pat. They have Jorge Soler, Whit Merrifield, Mondesi. They got the offense. If they have anywhere close to decent pitching, they can make a run in 60 games.
In 60 games, it could be really interesting, but I like the Indians and the Twins' chances. The only thing for me, and again, we can only base this on a 162-game season, since Tito was the manager of the Indians, they've not looked good in 60 games. They turn it on the final 100 games. So I think that we're going to see a completely different brand of baseball for the 60 games.
What I think you should look at, probably will tell you more about what they'll do in 60 games, is how they do the last 60 games of the season in those stretches, because that's what this is. This is 60 games. So how do they do in the last 60 games of the season, the final 60-game stretch? And the Indians have always been a team that really finishes well.
And that's where I think that's why I think the Indians are going to be in good shape. And
this is the first time in my life that I've seen baseball become a sprint instead of a marathon. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I don't ever want to see this again. And my fear is the dumbass in charge of baseball might get an idea of, oh, wait a second, this was actually a really good concept. Let's keep it this way. No, God, no.
Oh, please don't even go there.
No,
well,
exactly.
Anthony made mention of Whit Merrifield. Maybe the most phenomenal talent in the American League. He is truly underrated and very good defensively also. And on the other hand, Josh Harrison, I don't know who he's playing for now, but these guys come out of the gate soon. There's going to be some teams that have their hands full against them.
I agree with Merrifield, and not because Anthony is decked out in his Royals gear. Kansas City and Cleveland, San Diego, and some other small market towns, they've had some really, really great Major League Baseball players that, because they're in a small market, they don't get the just due respect that a team in a major market would get. If Whit Merrifield were playing in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, he would probably be a household name in Major League Baseball. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate he's not a household name right now.
Amazing. Also, on the note of the Cleveland Indians, I'm looking forward to hearing Tom Hamilton on the radio, because I refuse to watch the bobbleheads that do the Cleveland Indians game. That would be, Rick Manning, etc.
Yeah.
Talking bobbleheads. Their makeup is perfect. Get out of here.
Yeah, no, give me Hamilton and Rosie any day of the week.
Oh, yeah. And he could call a Class B game, and I'd be thrilled.
Well, actually, we're working on that, so stay tuned on that one. Hey,
all right, guys.
Because spring training, they're not going to have any games per se. So, I'm going to approach Tom and Rosie this week and say, hey, look, you guys are going to need some practice before the season starts. I'm going to go at it as a businessman type of proposition and see if any of them would bite on doing a game with me every Tuesday and Thursday over at Scene this month and into July.
You've had him on your show before, as a guest, and you guys hit it off pretty good. I'll tell you, if you could do this, we'll throw rose petals on the ground all the way from your house to YSU to your show.
Well, I would appreciate that. I mean, that would be nice. Hey, Rich, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it. All right, 330-886-0813. Coming up on this show in about 5 minutes, we will be chatting with the new head football coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils, Letonia grad Matt Aldermore, former Letonia football coach, has gone to the dark side. Well, actually, the light blue side. We have the dark blue. They have the light. They have the Dodger blue. We have royal blue. He's gone over to the dark side, wearing the lighter version. I'm going to start calling him Benedict Aldermore. Yeah, it's just, and I say this in jest with sarcasm because look, I think it's going to make the rivalry that much better. Mm-hmm. It really is, and I am really looking forward to the Latonia-Lisbon rivalry, which, by the way, statistics will be put in. People don't realize this. Latonia-Lisbon is not only the longest rivalry in the Mahoning Valley, it is also the longest continuous rivalry in the Mahoning Valley and possibly in northeastern Ohio, with the exception of Massillon and Canton-McKinley.
That's impressive. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, the only two times that Latonia and Lisbon did not play each other was 1918 and 1919, and that was during the Spanish flu, or the first part of the Spanish flu. They have played football since 1920 on a continuous basis. That is 90, almost 100 years alone, and we're well over 100 years in terms of how many times these two teams have played each other.
Spanish flu, rub some dirt on it. Let's go.
Yeah, let's exactly. Play. Yeah. Forget about the fact that half your football team died. Put some dirt on it and
that
let's
means
go.
The other half's ready to play.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
go.
Your backups are ready to play. Come on. No, they've only been dormant for 2 years, and it's unbelievable the amount of games that these two schools have played in football.
Do you know what the series record is?
Oh, Matt will remind everyone of that.
Oh, okay.
In my era, not that I had anything to do with this, but when I was in high school, we were 3-1 against Lisbon. I want to say we won my sophomore, junior, and senior year. I don't know if we won our freshman year. I believe we were 3-1. And again, back then, the game had not only the porcelain bowl that is still alive and well, coaches would have to serve the other team spaghetti. That might be coming back. We'll talk with Matt about that as well. That's all coming up in a bit. Our conversation with Matt Aldermore coming up in a couple of minutes. We will also hear from 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Coming up on Wednesday, Scott Knox will be chiming in Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Minor League Baseball is probably not going to be played. What does that mean for the growth, baseball-wise, of these kids? Spoiler alert, it's not good long-term for baseball. We'll talk to Noxie about that tomorrow, Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and we'll also have Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek Wednesday at 1 o'clock. That's coming up in a couple of days. Right now, coming up, our interview with the newest head football coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils, Matt Aldermore. It's coming up next. You're listening to Running Point on YSNLive.com.
21
Good evening,
News.
and thank you for joining us.
Let's get right to our top
More
story
experienced reporters
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
telling more local stories
We'll look at
Baby
efforts
boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
around our
Good
valley
Community in
afternoon.
Niles,
We are
one
here in
Triangle Valley
Youngstown, right
business.
because you expect
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County
Before
Court.
they become life-threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you. Anthony Hardwig, the golf prognosticator extraordinaire, on the other side, and we are pleased to be joined by the new head football coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils. Matt Aldemore joins us. Coach Aldemore, how are you, sir?
Great, Ron. Thanks for having me.
I
really appreciate it.
And the feeling is very mutual, although let's just get this out of the way. Benedict Aldemore, how dare you, a young man from Leetonia, going to the dark side. How dare you, sir?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've been hearing that a little bit, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Hey, you know what? It's a great opportunity for you. I know that you coached at Leetonia. You were the head football coach there for a few years. You've cut your teeth in bigger schools with Canfield and Salem. And boy, you've worked for two extraordinarily coaches in Coach Pavlansky at Canfield, Ron Johnson over at Salem. Second go-around as a head coach, what did you learn the first go-around, and what did you learn from the two coaches that you served under that you're going to bring with you to Lisbon?
Sure. Coach Pav and Coach Johnson, they're both great coaches, like you said, and they're both great men. And, I learned a lot. They both have different styles. Learned a lot from them about how to approach a game, and not so much the X's and O's, but how to, approach the things outside the game, how to build relationships, how to, continue to be involved in kids' lives, and how to, football's really developed into a 365-day a year sport here. So, just really how to, make sure the kids are taken care of, make sure that the program keeps running all 365 days. But, yeah, those are two great programs that I was very fortunate to be a part of, and, I really appreciate those memories.
As Ron said, coming back to head coaching, what's it been like to not just deal with the natural obstacles that come up from taking over a program, but also having to deal with the uncertainty that COVID-19 has brought into the fold, and trying to be a first year head coach with this program and also dealing with that at the same time?
Yeah, it's going to be a transition. Nothing happens overnight. It's going to be, we just got to keep our heads forward and keep moving. But yeah, it's going to be a transition, that's for sure.
Hey, Matt, obviously the success from Lisbon back in the day, Jim Salimos, the longtime coach of Lisbon, he's moved on to Carrollton. Have you reached out to Coach Salimos and try to get a feel of the history of Lisbon? You and me and so many people in Leetonia, we are caught up in our own history, where Lisbon actually has a pretty damn good history of their own right in football.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coach Lemos and I have talked, a few times since of accepting the job down here at Lisbon. Jim's a great guy. He's a great coach and a great guy. We talked a little bit just being at Carrollton. We had talked before since I was at Salem, and, Salem and Carrollton play in the EDC there. So we talked a little bit, even before I took the job, and then we've talked a couple of times since. And, it's always good to have good relationships with other coaches, and, you get the lay of the land. You find out, maybe things work a little bit different, down there than they do at other places, and vice versa. So, Jim's been a great help. He's been just a great person to talk to, and I look forward to he's going to be pretty busy also, but look forward to talking to him again. As we get into it here. Yeah, but a great tradition, and he was just part. He was a great part bringing a state championship down to Lisbon in 1995. But it's got a good tradition too. A lot of other coaches have came through there. A lot of other good coaches have been down to Lisbon for sure.
You're on the other side of this rivalry now, and for those that probably are unaware of the long-standing rivalry Leetonia and Lisbon has, if you want to look up the longest rivalry continuous and the longest rivalry in terms of a total number of games played, both of those honors in the Mahoning Valley go to Lisbon and Leetonia.
Yeah, we're coming up. This year is going to be our 110th meeting. The 110th meeting stretches out. Our first game between Leetonia and Lisbon was way back in 1905, and there's only been a couple of short breaks in between there. Back in 1917 and 1918, and then one tiny one-year break in 1936. But it's going on 110 years playing a neighboring school. That's what a rivalry is about. And there's been some great games over those 110 years for sure too.
Talk about this. What was it about Lisbon that made you kind of jump at this opportunity when it presented itself to you?
Lisbon and Leetonia, there's similar communities, similar in size, and Lisbon's community has a great football tradition. The community really gets behind all of their athletics. Their administrators really do a great job down there, and the Board of Education, and they're all about the kids, and they do what's best for the kids. And I'm not going to lie a little bit to it. It's pretty close. It takes me about 9 minutes to get from my truck in my driveway to the facilities down in Lisbon. So, it's a perfect fit, really. As far as distance, and I wanted to make sure that if I made the decision to come back into being a head coach again, and I wanted to do it for the right reasons and at the right place. And Lisbon was a perfect opportunity for that. There's no doubt.
Well, you're not the only one who's left Lisbon or left Leetonia for Lisbon. The late Joe Wilson, though he wasn't a head football coach down in Lisbon, had a very large imprint on the football program and all of the sports, being that his grandson, I think he's going to be a senior this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His grandson is one of the star players, McCullough, down in Lisbon. So the $1 million question, Matt, your father is a pretty damn good coach in his own right. He's in the Hall of Fame, longtime head football coach at Leetonia, had all kinds of success when we were kids at Leetonia, numerous Tri-County League championships. Is this a package deal, or is Artie Aldemar going to be on your staff?
Yes, he is. And go back to the question I was just asked. That's one of the reasons, I wanted to get back into coaching, being a head coach again. The opportunity to coach with my father. I had the opportunity to do that 15 of the 16 years I was at Leetonia, being an assistant for my dad. Then he was an assistant for me, and when you get away from that a little bit, you tend to be like, you really miss it. And I don't think there's anything else that I'd rather do in the world as coach with my dad. And, have the opportunity to do that for a few more years is invaluable. But yes, he is coming. But, down in Lisbon now, we talk about it coming full circle because, my dad's first coaching job was down in Lisbon as an assistant. So, they talk about it down there. It's him coming back around, not vice versa. So that's kind of a neat little story. My dad started with Coach Dave Dorm down there in the early 70s, and he coached with Bill Coltsnow before he came up with Bill Meek as an assistant here up at Leetonia. And, so it's been a long time. So, he's going to be an assistant in between stints. So I think there's about 47 years in between assistant coaching stints down at Lisbon with him. But he'll be with us for sure.
All right, Matt, let's talk about the real reason for the rivalry, and that is the Spaghetti Bowl. First and foremost, if anyone has seen this trophy, it's a ginormous bowl of just a spaghetti bowl, pasta bowl, and it's porcelain, and I got to believe it's worth a fortune because it was made in Italy, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And I cannot speak for anyone in Leetonia. I will not put words in Paul Julia's mouth. However, I am going to strongly advise Coach Julia to revisit the spirit of the Spaghetti Bowl, and that is the outcome of the game, where the losing team, their coaching staff, has to serve spaghetti at the end of football season to the entire coaching staff and players of both teams. I think it's a phenomenal idea, and I would certainly hope that Coach Julia and the staff at Leetonia would jump on board with us, because that's one of the reasons why this rivalry is so much fun.
Oh, it is. You're right. Hey, I'm game. Let's get it going. I'm excited about that, and that's what rivalry is about. They have different unique situations and unique things about some certain rivalries. I mean, you're right. If anybody has a chance or has ever seen that trophy, I mean, it weighs a ton, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's one of those eccentric rivalry trophies that you just don't see around. It's not just a football player in fake gold. It's a real deal, like you said, and it is heavy, and it's a big deal to get your hands back on that. It's a traveling trophy, so it goes back and forth, and you're, like you said, along with what goes with that is, serving the spaghetti to the winning team. And hey, if Coach Julia's listening, I'm not afraid to put on a white apron. I hope and serve spaghetti at the end of the year. I hope he's prepared too. So it should be fun to get that back. Hopefully we can do that.
The gauntlet has been thrown down. Coach, let's talk about your roster. And when you look at the tools that you're inheriting in your new tool chest at Lisbon, what kind of things are you seeing from your team, and what kind of expectations do you have for this season?
The first expectation is to get the numbers up. That's the biggest thing is, not being a teacher down there and getting hired in January, and then, we only had a month and a half here or there, and then, things got shut down on us a little bit. But, just want to get the numbers up. Football is the greatest sport in the world. I love it. It's my passion, and, I want every young man to have that opportunity to enjoy it, and try to get them to enjoy it as much as I do, and I have. And that's the biggest expectation. I'd say number one right now is we want to be able to play games on Fridays and Saturdays. Make sure that program gets rolling that way, and we just have to keep developing a winning attitude and just winning desires. And we like I said, we can't look backwards. We're just going to keep looking forward and trying to improve each day. And it's a little bit difficult right now because you want to put your own stamp on the program, but you also have to mentor these kids, and with the limited amount of time you have with everything going on. But it's coming along nicely, and that's my expectations. Number one, we want to be able to play games on Friday and Saturday. Number two, we want to get the numbers up, and number three, it's just about getting the kids to buy in, because this isn't a one-year process down here at Lisbon. We're going to be here for a while, and we want it to keep going and be sustained, because there's a lot of good coaches that came through, and they through Lisbon, and they put their stamp on it. Want to be able to do the same.
Yeah, it's a disadvantage for you, being that you're still teaching at Leetonia, so you really don't have an opportunity to go through the halls of Lisbon High School and openly tell some of the bigger kids in Lisbon that aren't playing football, hey, you should try to go out for football. You're going to have to rely on some assistant coaches who are working in the Lisbon School District to do that.
Yeah, you're right. And, the support down there has been phenomenal so far. It really has, in between administrators and teachers. So, been in contact with some teachers that aren't even involved in the football program, just helping out with grades or kids and that. And you're right. I mean, it isn't ideal, but you know what? Just got to get my face down there and my body down there and get around, and so kids can see what we're about now, and hopefully, that can work. But yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but you know what? We'll make it work.
You mentioned Friday and Saturdays, and you bring up an interesting point indirectly. The EOAC is going to bring in a new team or a new school, and that's Valley Christian, and they're going to be playing their games on Saturday. So at least 3 or 4 of their league games are going to be on Saturday. Valley's no stranger to Lisbon. You guys played them a few years ago, so the kids are no stranger to that school.
Sure. No, you're right. And we're fortunate to pick them up in the opening that Toronto vacated, leaving the league. So we're actually getting a chance to play Valley Christian this year, week 8, week right after the Spaghetti Bowl, actually. So we'll get a chance to play them a year before they come in the league. It's at home, so we'll be on a Friday night this year. But, so we'll get, kind of a year heads up on that. But, yeah, you're right. Hey, that's good. You know what? A league should have an even number of teams, should have 8 teams. And I think it'll be a good thing to get them in the league and, similar size schools, and it'll be fun.
You said it earlier that football is your passion, so I'm kind of curious on what is your favorite football memory, whether as a coach or as a player, as anything. Does one of your favorite memories as pertains to football?
Well, you guys got a lot of time because there's a lot. But if I had to whittle it down, I think a favorite general memory is just having the opportunity to play under my father as a head coach. That was great. Opportunity to coach with my fathers, like I said earlier, is great. Specific memories, winning league championships are great as a coach and as a player. I was very fortunate to, growing up, be a part of championship teams that when I was a water boy, championship teams when I was an assistant coach, championship teams as a head coach, and as a player. Those are all great memories because, you ultimately do this because you want to win and have success. And even stretching it back a little bit further, at the time things moved so quickly, you didn't have time to really process it. But being a part of the national championship team, or being a part of Youngstown State national championship in 1997 was probably one of my best memories looking back on it. Just everything that went into that. So that was a big deal too. So, I could keep going on, but those are probably some of the best ones.
I'm going to fill in one for him because we haven't talked baseball yet. And this will always be mine because it was the district championship game. And I'm sure you remember this because you made an unbelievable catch in left field to preserve a victory to put Leetonia into the regional tournament in, what was that, 89?
Actually, that was I was 94. 89 was a few years before. That
it was 94. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. To go into the district finals. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable catch that you made in the to go into the district finals. That's right.
Hey, thanks, Bob. My legacy's preserved a little bit. I guess. There we go. Hey, we'll take it. But hey, that was a big deal back then because you didn't have the outlets in the media, which is a great thing. You guys are doing at YSN, promoting sports in the Valley, first of all, because, you didn't have that back then. And that was a huge deal to have the radio come down and broadcast a radio game back then. And, it's great, everything you guys are doing now, because, we have great sports here, and, we have great kids that do that. And I just appreciate everything you guys are doing for the Valley. There's no doubt.
Over under on the amount of detentions you'll be giving out during Leetonia Lisbon week with all the trash talking the kids will probably be giving you.
Well, I think I'm going to be avoiding lunch duty that week. I got me on lunch duty every week. I'll probably just stay in my little office in the gym and kind of just, and it'll be friendly. The good thing is it's friendly. You know what? I wish, even when I was coaching at Salem and Campfield, I see the kids in the hall and I wish them luck and ask them how everything's going. And, that's not going to change. It's not going to be too fierce. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a little weird being on the other sideline, week 7 at Leetonia Stadium. But, it'll probably hit me then. But, leading up to it, you still want Leetonia kids to be successful, and I want them to do their best and, have success. But that week 7, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a little odd.
I want to know how you're going to game plan to stop Marco Ferry.
Well, yeah, Marco's a great player. There's no doubt. He's got a lot of the records now at Leetonia, which Summit stood for a long time. And just watching a little bit of film, and I got to watch some Leetonia film last year. The kids would show me some of the games and that. And boy, you know what? I guess, like I said, week 7 coming up. It's a good thing is I don't have to worry about it until week 7. We got a lot of football to be played before then, but it's definitely going to be causing me to lose some sleep that week. That's for sure.
We talked about, I think the best way to start Marco Ferry is to just stop people from helping him, because if you take away his support system, then he's the only person on the team doing stuff.
Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, Coach Julia, I'm sure, is going to have his team prepared. They're going to be very prepared. And they're working hard just like everybody else is, right now in June and July and August. And I'm sure they'll have some other weapons and have everything ready to go. And, sometimes you play teams, you got to outscore them. Sometimes you play teams, you got to keep the ball away from their weapons, So, I think our general philosophy would be is, I hate to sound, dumb or sarcastic here, but, we're just going to try and score more points than they do, whether it's, keeping the ball out of, Marco and the rest of the team's hands, or if it's just trying to score more points. But, that's our goal. We just got to figure that out somehow.
All right, I'm gonna throw this out here as incentive to restart the whole losing team has to serve dinner. I will make the meatballs for the first year. Whoever loses, you just let me go with the meatballs. I'll make about 80 of them, and we'll go from there.
That would be awesome to have a Rompetesta meatball. That's got to be incentive to get it started right there. I will text Paul Julia and tell him he got called out if he wasn't listening, and we'll get this going. There's no doubt. And we'll let you know the date too.
I don't know, Coach. If you win, I wouldn't trust Rompetesta's meatballs. But if Latonia wins, I trust him.
Oh, no, there is no way I would ever do anything doctoring my meatballs for anyone. Not even Benedict Oldemore. That's no. My meatball, I take pride in those. So if you guys win, then I'll provide the meatballs for Coach Julia. If Latonia wins, I'll provide the meatballs for you, and it'll all be fun.
Oh, that'd be great, because I know better too, because there's nothing you don't want to get in front of. You don't want to mess with the Italian and their meatballs. We know Rod will take great pride in it, and I can't wait. So either way, whether I'm serving or whether I'm eating, I'm going to be able to get a couple of them. So that's good for me.
And the other good thing about taking the job in Lisbon is I'm sure if you start winning ball games, you can get a deal with Mary's Pizza.
Oh, I drive past that every day coming to the school. They're nuts. Oh man, you're right. That is the staple. And I gotta watch my weight though. You can't get it too much. That's some good pizza. That's a good plug right there, because that's a tradition down there for sure.
Hey Matt, congratulations and best of luck to you in Lisbon, except for Week 7. And I really look forward to seeing what you can do down in Lisbon. And I know that the kids are in good hands. You're a good guy and a fantastic coach. And it's just adds more spice to the rivalry, and that's one of those games that I just love seeing and look forward to covering. It's a lot of fun when Lisbon and Latonia get together.
It is, and it should be exciting. I can't wait. Just can't wait for the season to start, and I appreciate all the help and support, Ron. Appreciate it.
All right, all the best to you, Coach.
Thank you.
You got it. Matt Oldemore, the head football coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils, and it's weird having a Latonia kid coaching Lisbon, but that's all. It'll bring spice to the rivalry.
I saw you trying to sneak his Week 7 game plan out of him, trying to give Latonia.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, they don't call me Double Agent Potesta for nothing.
He handled that really well.
Of course he did. He saw through my BS. Look, it's pretty simple. You stop Marco Ferry, you have a pretty good chance Latonia's going to be limited in their duties, trying to stop him.
All you have to do is stop one of the best runners that has ever come through the program.
Yeah, exactly. He has all the records. That's all you got to do.
You don't stop him. You just stop his.
If you can if you can hold him to 100 yards, that you're doing something.
You stop his support system, and you make him be the only thing the other team that Latonia has going for him.
Yeah.
So it's just like a hot shooter in basketball. There's some points when you just say, we can't stop them, but we're going to make sure that no one else scores.
Yeah, exactly. I said for years, and when we had Coach Brazil on to talk about full court press, which by the way you can hear every Friday at 4 p.m., I sat back and said, if you were trying to devise a game plan against your son, what would you do? And he goes, I'd let him score 60 and stop everyone else. That's what you do. You let him get his. That's fine. You stop everyone else, you're going to wind up winning the ball game.
on the girls' side, Dejanette Harris did her thing at Ursuline, and most people's game plan against her was, hey, you want to score 30, you can score 30, but everyone else isn't scoring anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, there are some players if you spend too much energy trying to stop, you're going to wear yourself out, and then you're going to lose the game. And that's the trap that some people fall into.
In the first couple of years when Michael Jordan was playing in Chicago and he didn't have much talent around him.
Right.
Let Jordan score 55 or 60 points. If you stop everyone else, you won't get a win. And that's exactly what happened. Now, when you get talent around you, okay, now things are a little different. Now you have to play a completely different type of game. So.
And even, he got pretty dang close when he didn't. Even the Celtics swept him, but it wasn't an easy sweep. Every game was pretty close, pretty competitive.
Oh, the 63 he dropped on Boston was unbelievable.
When Larry Bird comes out and says, that's not Michael Jordan, that's God disguised as Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's just, you knew in that series, even though they got swept, you knew something special was happening.
I watched that game from start to finish when it was on CBS at the time, and it was just amazing to watch it. It was, the guy went off for 63 points, and that was his career high until he scored 69 against the Cavaliers of the old Coliseum, which I was there for that too. Looking back on that, Michael probably should have had me go to a number more of his games. Let's see, the two games that I saw, he went 63 and 69. Now, that's nice. But no, it's just when someone does that, whether it be high school, college, pros, if they don't have as much talent around them, go off. That's good. We'll just take your other 4 guys, or in football terms, your other 10 guys, and we're just going to neutralize them. You can go off and do whatever you want to. There's a reason why Buffalo in the 70s wasn't a very good football team. And I think they got into the playoffs one time as a wild card during OJ's run. OJ was the entire offense. All right, you go off for about 150, 160, and we'll make sure that Joe Ferguson doesn't complete a pass. And that's it. And that's what they did. If you're a one-man gang, you're not really going to be doing much of anything.
The Chiefs had it with Jamal Charles. He was 75% of that offense, and when he got hurt, they were like, "Oh, yeah, now what?
Now what?" Exactly. 330-886-0813. We're back in a little bit. It is a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Dana Balish coming up at the top of the hour. We'll get his views on some local stuff going on. We're going to talk some B-League baseball coming up in a bit.
It's been a good weekend.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Well, Saturday.
The last day of the weekend, because Saturday was a quagmire, and we're not talking about the pervert from Family Guy. Giggity, giggity, giggity. All right, back in a little bit. It's a Monday edition. It's a Monday edition of Running Point at YSNLive.com. Giggity, giggity, giggity.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com. Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Stay in the showers. I'm keeping my eye on in parts of Columbiana County.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. Before we get into the weekend that was in B-League, one big story coming out of Pittsburgh as we are getting ever so close to the start of spring training. That's actually going to start on Wednesday, spring training by and large. Edgar Santana, Pirates relief pitcher, is going to miss all of the abbreviated 2020 campaign. He has been suspended 80 games for violating the Major League Baseball's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. He partook in steroids, and that is a big, big no-no. Now, having said that, Santana missed the entire 2019 season following reconstructive surgery on his right elbow in September of 2018. Solid relief pitcher for the Pirates. This might not be the worst thing to happen to Santana. It gives him an extra year off. His elbow will be ready to go a lot stronger, at least theoretically, in 2021, even though he'll miss the first 20 games of 2021, assuming
unless
that
the Pirates make the playoffs.
Yeah, assuming we have a 60-game season.
It's wild, and wild west, anything can happen. But the Pirates were already down, and this is just like kicking a dead horse when it's down, because they already had a lot of bad luck this offseason, and now it's just like another kick. You know? I
mean, it's Chris Archer and Jameson Taillon are done. And now you've got one of your relief pitchers who you were hoping to rely on in 2020. He actually had 5 hitless innings of relief in spring training before COVID-19 shut everything down. So Edgar Santana banged for 80 games because, thou shalt not do steroids in Major League Baseball. Yep, no, that's not good. Not good. So we'll see what happens with the Pirates. On paper, they do not look like a good team.
He didn't use the horse steroids. So
no.
He wasn't Clase.
Yeah, at least you didn't go Emmanuel Clase 5th race at Pimlico. I still think next year.
Somewhere a horse that got named Clase.
Yeah.
And in 3 years, we're going to see it in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, there you go. Clase sliding through the field. Fastball. Yeah, okay. I still think the call to the post should be his thing when they're on the road and he comes out of the bullpen. Honest to God, someone should pick up on that and just do the call to the post. And I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be absolutely hilarious.
As long as it's not, as long as you don't have a series in the future in Cleveland. If you're done with them, because you don't want the drawback when you go back to Cleveland. But if this is your last series, it's on the road, and then you do it, then wow, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, I think it would be absolutely hysterical if they did that. Late-breaking news coming out of Cleveland. The Cavaliers have signed Jordan Bell, another big man, to join Andre Drummond, Kevin Love, Larry Nance Jr., Ante Zizic, assuming that Zizic comes back in 2020, 2021. This is yet another tale of, or yet another shovel of dirt on the grave of Tristan Thompson Cleveland Cavalier career.
Right.
It's a pretty good bet that Tristan Thompson is going to be a free agent and go somewhere else because, again, the Cavaliers are going to be seemingly loaded up front with Andre Drummond, Kevin Love, Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Bell, and if they re-sign Ante Zizic or pick up his option, that's 5 big guys. pretty much taken care of there. Now let's try to address maybe a small forward, maybe a shooting guard in the draft, and go from
That was
there.
a problem. I mean, that would have been a really awesome thing about 20 years ago, but the NBA today isn't ruled by big guys anymore.
No.
So you can, we're sold on the big guys. Everyone else in the league is going, that's cute.
Yeah, that's nice, but we're kind of a guard-oriented team now.
Right,
So
right? I mean, the whole league is run by your point guard and your shooting guard. So,
and it's not like the Cavaliers don't have talent. Colin Sexton and Darius Garland
Colin Sexton
are
gets a
good.
bad rap because he didn't really start out well. But I'm not shutting the door on him.
Colin Sexton had a hell of a good 3-month stretch
And
before COVID-19
people,
kicked the NBA down.
People were pouring on him because he had a bad start.
No, absolutely.
He did not get off to a good start, and people were just like, "Oh, he's a bust. He can't do anything."
No,
they were just droning him. I was like, "Give him a chance."
Exactly.
And boy, did he ever.
Yeah, no, I like his game.
I saw what he did in college at Alabama in the tournament and everything, and I said, "This kid can play." And you just got to give him a couple of months to kind of adjust to the NBA. And
yeah,
once he did,
honestly, I think the Cavs are in a lot better shape than what people think. We did not see Dylan Windler at all this year. Dylan Windler is going to be a fantastic player in the NBA. He shoots the ball like nobody's business, and he's a big kid who can play the three athletically enough to possibly put Jetty on the bench and have him come off the bench, where I think Jetty Osman is most effective if he's playing 15, 20 minutes a game. That's his perfect spot. Have Windler in the starting lineup. You got the kid from Southern Cal that was absolutely fantastic his rookie year until we were shut down. I am very bullish on the Cavaliers in the next couple of years.
and the way they ended the season was pretty impressive. I mean, they were playing good basketball for the last 2 months.
I agree.
They won 10 or 12 games.
And under J.D. Bickerstaff, they were close to 500.
So I mean,
and they're only going to get better because they got a bunch of young kids.
we're not going to come out and say, "Oh, the Cavs are going to come out and win again." But they're going to be they're not going to be irrelevant. I'll just put it.
I will flat out say this: they're a playoff team.
They can
next
get in the
year.
playoffs in the East, which is down. So they can get in the playoffs.
I think they're a playoff team next year.
Maybe a 7 or 8 seed in the East.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. That's a team that's a team I can definitely root for. Porter Jr., Darius Garland, Sexton. It's the makings of a pretty good backcourt. Get a couple of more kids back there, and then you have Windler, Jetty Osman at the small forward, and then you got the plethora of big guys. And Kevin Love can still shoot a three like no one's business. A nice stretch four there. I honestly, I'm bullish on this team. They're not going to win a championship, but I think they can be a playoff team, and I think they will be a playoff team next year.
That's a step up from the garbage that they've been for.
Absolutely, and I think J.D. Bickerstaff is the right guy for the job. Of course, then again, I thought that John Beilein was going to be a breath of fresh air for the team, and unfortunately he got buried early, and then he said a couple of things that did not go very well, and it's just he could not adjust from the college game to the pro game.
Well, I mean, we talked about it with Sexton. You have to be able to handle failure. I mean, not as much as in baseball, but still, as a professional athlete, you have to be, especially as a rookie, you have to be able to handle a little bit of failure. And Sexton handled it, adjusted, and then Boeheim didn't. So
yeah, and it just wasn't a good fit. Definitely wasn't a good fit. All right,
that wasn't even the biggest signing news over the weekend. Though we're gonna have to talk about a big signing in the NFL later in the show.
Yeah, because it bothered me and will bother me. Assuming we have the NFL.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's and he's going to wind up being a friggin' All-Pro because he's playing for the New England Cheaters. Then that's enough of that. All right, we're going to quickly.
We'll hit it later.
Yeah, we'll get on that later because I felt good about the Bills' chances for about a month or so. Now I still think the Bills win the East, but Cam Newton in New England is. That's a very interesting signing by the Patriots. We got a couple of minutes before we bring Dana on. We had no B-League on Saturday, a gully washer. Sunday comes around, a lot of really good baseball on the Sandlots. We were talking, the Prospects get that big victory over the Astro Falcons on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And we sat back and said, okay, no, actually, it was on a Thursday.
Yeah, because
it was on a Thursday.
We talked to Brett Taylor on Friday, and
it was on a Thursday.
They were getting ready to play that night.
And we had said, you better win this game, otherwise all that means nothing. They got one hit.
Yeah, Dura Edge came out, and I told you on Friday, Dura Edge had a momentum swinging win too, because they were down by 3 runs most of the game, scored 6 in the last inning, and won by a sizable margin. So Dura Edge was coming in hot, and their pitching staff did a really good job on Friday night and really shut down the Prospects' offense.
Now, the Prospects did get a win on Sunday, and they're actually in pretty good shape. 5 wins, 5 losses. That puts them in 5th place. Dura Edge and Eagleware are currently tied for 6th, 4 wins, 5 losses, 1 tie, again, because of COVID-19. Now, the first go-around was 2 hours, drop-dead limit. Now, we are still going to be doing things a little bit differently. Got the 4-1-1 from the Umpires Association, which I'm a part of. 18 and 16U, you can start an inning before the 2 hours, and you play the rest of the inning. Once that inning is over, or once that half inning is over, game over no matter what. 14U is going to now be 2 hour, 15-minute drop dead.
So does that mean if you, let's say you finish the 6th inning and you're at like an hour 49, is there any even, I mean, if the home team's losing, is there any really point to starting the 7th inning? Because you're not going to get through the whole inning.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you get a quick 1, 2, 3 inning and it's done in 5 minutes, then there you go. I mean, it is.
And as long as you start that bottom half before the 2 hours goes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. As long as you start an inning or a half an inning before the 2 hour time limit.
But it's the half inning. It's not like we started the 6th, so we have to finish the 6th.
No.
We have to finish this half.
We have to finish this half of the 6th inning, and then that's it. Now, I agree with you. If you're down by 5 runs and it's 152 and you're not batting,
yeah.
Do you really want to, I mean, the best you can do is 1, 2, 3 inning. Now, if I'm the team that's up by 6 runs, I'm not swinging at a pitch.
No.
I'm just going to sit back and go, okay, I'm going to take some time off the clock. I'm not going to swing at a pitch. And if you strike me out on 3 pitches, okay.
And hope that they don't do that 3 times.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a timeout. On the other end, we will hear from TV 21 Sports Director Dana Balish, and our weekly segment with Dana coming up in just a bit. It is a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Stick around.
They say American craftsmanship is making a comeback. Of course, at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, it never went away.
People are floored by Baird Brothers' authentic hardwood floors. They stare at our stairs and adore our doors. Baird Brothers reflects 3 generations of family craftsmanship. Visit our huge in-stock selection in person or at BairdBrothers.com.
Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you, joined by TV21 Sports Director Dana Ballage. Dana, how goes it, sir?
They're doing well, Ron.
Good. Hey, you and I were talking a little bit off the air, and you were trying to get some things together for football. Just out of the blue question: are all of the schools now with a coach, or are there still a couple of teams that are looking for a coach?
Well, Southington Shocker is the only one who is still looking for a coach, Ron. They've been without a coach since last year when Tom Conrad stepped down, and to my knowledge, still going through the process, although it's June 29th, and you would hope that they would try to have something in position here with the possibility of a season starting. So, Western Reserve filled their position a couple of weeks ago with Jason Lude, and Southington Shocker is the only school that is still open.
Bill Boren is still a few wins away from 300, and it seems like it would be a natural fit, especially if Chalker has a younger guy that might not necessarily be ready to do high school head coaching. Is there any possibility that Bill Boren could get that job at Chalker?
I don't think so, Ron. I think both sides are kind of in agreement that they should go separate ways, and certainly, I have no problem with that. I mean, Bill still wants to coach at 86 years old. He had a minor mishap a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know if he would be coaching right now, but certainly, I think those. I would be shocked if that would happen, but according to what I'm hearing and everything, I think it would just be better if both those, if both went different directions, so to speak, and kept it the way it is.
TV21 Sports Director Dana Ballage joining us on the YSN hotline. Dana, I, as an umpire for the Mahoning Valley Umpires Association, we got the edit from the umpiring guru that we're changing things up the second half of the 18 and 16U seasons, where now a half inning can start prior to the 2-hour limit, and once it gets to 2 hours, you're no longer stopping the game immediately. You're continuing until that half inning is over. 14U, the drop dead is no longer at 2 hours. Now it's going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes. I think it's a decision on the fly based on what we saw the first few games or the first half of the season. I think it's a fantastic move considering what we're going through. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I think, if you set a time limit and you go through it and you see you want to make some adjustments, I think you're able to do that. I mean, I have no problems with that. It's what baseball's about, and certainly you want to get the most out of your kids, and no one wants to end in a tie, so to speak. So I'm in favor of it, Ron.
We got some turf coming into Youngstown. It came in, and now, what's the turf situation at Sandball Stadium looking like right now?
Well, the turf came in last week, and it was the wrong shade of turf. It was an honest mistake. So the 50 yards that they laid down, and they didn't stitch anything together, so it was a minor hurdle where they just had to roll it back up and wait for the new stuff to come in. And to my understanding, the right shade is due in either today or the next couple of days, and they'll start stitching it together and get everything in shape for what we hope will be a September 12th opener.
Now, the Stambaugh Stadium turf for the longest time was all one color, and that was it. To my understanding, we're going to have a two-toned looking football field at Stambaugh this year.
Yeah, and that was the plan, Ron, from what I was told, is They were going to go the two-tone turf. Everything else was going to remain the same. There'll be some cosmetic changes. The Pete the Penguin will still face the west stands. The end zones will be modified a little bit. There will be a black border around the field. So some modification changes, but nothing earth-shattering. It will be two-tone, and Austin Town Fitch has a two-tone turf. I believe Warren Harding has two-tone. So, that's what the decision makers wanted, and certainly when the wrong color came in, like I said, it was nothing major. They rolled it out, saw it was different, rolled it back up.
And just to clarify for people, this turf has been paid for a while, right? It wasn't something that they just bought now. They bought it, I believe, 2 years ago, correct?
Yeah, they've kind of had this in the plan. I mean, turf is going to last you 10 to 11 years, just depending on the wear and tear. And, you have football games on there, you have concerts on there, you have other activities on there. And, it lived its life. I asked someone up there, could you get one more year out of it? And he says our one more year was last year. And if you remember, guys, when the 49ers came to town, they did not practice on the turf at Stambaugh Stadium because we were told they felt it was unsafe. And when you have an NFL team come in and say the turf is unsafe, that right away tells you, what you need to get it replaced. But this was already in the budget. This was already planned for a couple of years ago. And the timing couldn't have been worse because you're furloughing people are being laid off, and you're putting in, a turf project. But this was all pre-planned. And they have an account up there, which is a turf account, which, money goes into. And, the lifespan of these are 10 to 11 years. And, even for high schools, the same thing.
Dana, speaking of the 49ers, once again, they'll be playing back-to-back games in the Eastern time zone, and pretty good chance now, especially with new turf at Youngstown State, pretty good chance that San Francisco will call Youngstown their home in between those two games.
Well, yeah, and I haven't looked at the schedule, Ron. It just depends on, what's happening with this virus at that time and everything, just like with the college and the high school ranks. I mean, everyone is preparing, for something, and you just can't have one plan. You got to have several plans, and I'm sure the 49ers are looking at that right now. I mean, as we sit today, it's no one's sure of what's going to happen when it comes to football season at the NFL level, the college level, and the high school level. And I think, as we've talked prior, the NFL can kind of do what they want to do because they have the money to do it.
Major League Baseball is going to be starting up spring training, and I use air quotes when I say spring training because they're all going to be in their own facilities. Nobody's going to go to Florida or Arizona. Everyone's going to stay in their own home ball yard for about 3 weeks, a lot of inter-squad games. And then if there is a season, it'll get underway late July. 60-game season. My fear as a baseball fan is someone will think that 60 games is a wonderful idea, and that we'll see this more in the future. And I really hope that everyone realizes this is something that'll never happen again, nor should it.
Well, Ron, you got 32 owners up there who are seeing 102 games not being played, and they see the dollar sign. So I would certainly think that would not happen. Obviously, if there's another situation like we're in now, then it could happen. But certainly, they see the dollar signs, and the 60 games. It's that's kind of the number here. I mean, the old adage is you're going to win 20, you're going to lose 20, and it's the other 20 which you're going to determine where you go. But there's been a lot of talk. Will pitchers be ready since there's no spring training games? Will pitchers that will probably be it's going to take them 20 games to kind of get into major league mode, I guess, and you'll go from there. But Ron, the Indians or the Pirates could win it this year, win it all or whatever, and in my book, this is not a real season.
We always like to hear updates from 21 Sports and seeing how everyone's doing down there. I saw some people out this week at the Bill Cefera All-Star game in Liberty, and they were just telling me how happy they were to kind of be back to doing sports. Is that kind of the sentiment around the whole office in the 21 Sports department?
Well, we're just we're working on football right now, high school football. we are preparing as if there will be a season, and this time of year, that's what we concentrate on is, getting the high school football teams and their previews, going out to the various schools. It is a little bit different. There are, some protocols that we go through as well. It's nice to have it back. We're just keeping our fingers crossed that it will continue and there will be some sort of seasons.
And obviously, we've talked an awful lot about this, and your prediction is that we'll have a season, but it won't be a complete season. Dan, I tend to agree with you, and a lot of things are going to have to break in a really good way for a complete high school, college, and pro season. I just... And it changes from week to week, and I get that. I think that we might get 7 games in high school football. I hope we get 10, but it certainly doesn't look like we can get 10 right now. But again, a lot of stuff can change.
Well, Ron, you look at it where we sit today. Under the protocols and under the rules where we sit today, you cannot play touch football. I just don't see how things can change in 8 weeks where you can from not playing touch football to all out tackle football. I just can't see it happening in the 8 weeks that we have left. The numbers of this virus are going up. That's not a good sign. Boardman has shut down practice for 14 days, a couple days last week and all this week for all sports because of some situations there with the virus. So I just can't see it happening on time. Now, can things happen and change that? Certainly, but under the past 3 or 4 months, it's really hard for me to believe that come August 28th, 8 weeks, 1 month yesterday, or 1 month tonight, that we're going to be playing high school football or 2 months from now in a sense where it's full go, it's tackle, and there are no issues. I just can't see that happening.
Well, if it does happen, the EOAC, we were talking with Coach Aldemore, the new head football coach down in Lisbon, which is weird, a Latonia guy going to Lisbon, but neither here nor there. And the addition of Valley Christian is going to make that conference that much better, not just in football, but in all sports. I think the Valley Christian is a fantastic addition to the EOAC.
Well, and again, you just hope things can play. I mean, we knew that was happening, almost a year ago, I think, and it's Ron, when you have local teams and local conferences, it makes it all worthwhile. And we could go back to the days of Boardman and Fitch and in the Federal League, which made no sense at all. And it took. I mean, they had to try it. They knew it wasn't working. Can you imagine that now? In social distancing and all that stuff. I mean, look at it now. If Campbell and Struthers are playing, two communities that are, 5 miles apart, their stadiums, and to social distance the kids on the bus. I mean, and that's where I can't figure it out. If you're going to have social distancing, then how can you play? That's the bottom line question.
Do you think it'll be a scenario where they'll treat each sport kind of individually on what they do when they start, or do you think it'll be kind of a blanket kind of statement where they say we're not starting any sports if we can't start all of the sports?
No, and Commissioner Snodgrass said that back in March. It was going to be one or nothing, or all or nothing, but he's changed his tune on that. I think golf, I think tennis will be okay. I think those will start on time. I don't see any problems with that. But I think when you talk about the team sports of volleyball, soccer, and football, I think there's issues there because you're just too close. I mean, look in volleyball, everyone's touching the ball. In soccer, you're banging into each other. In football, you're tackling each other. Some say soccer's more violent than football. But I just can't see those sports as we sit today starting on time because I just don't know how you can make that big of a leap in 8 weeks.
Dan, always a pleasure. We look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, Ron.
You got it. 21 Sports Director Dana Ballas joining us every Monday at 1 o'clock on the YSN hotline. And I can see where he's going with this because a lot of things are going to have to change in the next 8 weeks. But we've seen stuff change.
Yes.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
We were in a lot different spot 8 weeks ago than we are right now. I mean, and 8 weeks ago, we probably thought to ourselves, it's going to take a long time to get out of this. And 8 weeks later, here we are, a little bit back to normal. Not quite totally normal, but you can pretty much go out and shop and have fun, and every kind of retail stuff is opened up. And 8 weeks ago, that didn't really seem like it was going to be a possibility anytime soon. I'm not as worried of football starting on time as I am football having to stop mid-season because something happens. That's what worries me a little bit more. I feel like, especially when we talk professional and college, high school is a little bit different because you have to worry about minors, so you have to be a little bit more careful with high school. But NFL, college, I'm not scared of it starting on time. I'm more scared of something happening in the middle of the season that has to make it a stop.
The one thing, and again, this is all going to be on an honor system. I truly believe that.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, I truly believe this is all going to be on an honor system.
It has to be. There's no way to enforce it. And
I have a hard time believing that, depending on how high the stakes are, I'm going to go to the pros. Buffalo's playing New England, and God forbid Josh Allen comes down with COVID-19 during the New England week. Look, I'm a huge fan of Coach McDermott, and I'm a huge fan of that organization, and I think that they have finally gotten their stuff together where this team could actually be a really dangerous team. I have a hard time believing the Bills organization would sit back and say, "Oh, yeah, he's got COVID-19. He's gonna be down for 2 weeks." I have a hard time believing that if the AFC East is on the line, you're not going to have your guy play.
If you don't, though, and it somehow comes out that you put him on the field,
you're going to be in all kinds of trouble.
Oh, you're toast.
Yeah, you
are toast. Because the Patriots will be ticked because you put someone that has COVID-19 on the field with them.
Yeah.
All the Bills players are going to be ticked. So then, I mean, you're taking a big risk.
Exactly.
Big risk.
And I would hope, I certainly don't mean to call out anybody. I was just using it as an example.
Yeah.
I would hope that if any scenario, if it's a meaningless game, if it's a game for all the marbles in your division or a chance to go to the college football playoff, I would hope that any team that is facing that decision is going to do the right thing and not put everyone at risk by abusing a kid or a grown man that has COVID-19.
Well, let's not put all on the team. I mean, the player has to take it seriously, too.
Exactly.
Because you test positive. You have to say, hey, I'm sick, but I can also go and make a lot of people sick if I don't get, because the player can just say, hey, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing the coaching or the team can do about it. The player
Exactly.
can just say, I got it, and come out public, say I got it or whatever, and then that's it. That's that.
But then, the mentality of a player, especially a pro player, is you play through pain.
Yeah, but this isn't pain.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is different, and it's going to be really interesting to see what players take it seriously and what players don't. Because there will be a mixed bag. There will be players that probably get it, maybe a little asymptomatic, and think, well, you know what? I'm just going to go out and play anyway.
Yeah.
But,
see, over the weekend, and I'm not sure who it was that did this. I think it was one of the members of the Atlanta Falcons, but I'm not 100% sure. He was tested positive, asymptomatic, which, okay, no big deal.
It happens.
But he wasn't doing anything to prevent other people from getting it. He was going out playing tennis and just out in public, not wearing a mask, not doing anything differently. I got a problem with that. I mean, if you're asymptomatic, you should be quarantined. And if you're not quarantined, then you should at least have the common decency to put a mask on so you're not infecting someone else. That just bothers me when you have that kind of,
when you know you're positive and you still don't care. I mean,
yeah, that's just selfish.
It's different if you don't know you're positive and you're asymptomatic. That happens. But if you test positive and you still are cavalier about your attitude,
yeah, that's selfish.
That's something. Right?
Yeah, and that's just there's something seriously wrong with that. Right. You shouldn't be doing something like that.
And that just proves it. It's going to be a mixed bag on how serious players take it, and it's a shame because there are going to be the players that do that and say, "Yeah, I tested positive, but I'm asymptomatic," so they're going to go along with this "I'm fine" narrative and go out and play, and that could lead to a catastrophe for the league.
Yeah, and the other thing, and we're going to find out with Major League Baseball. I mean, how many guys? And it's not just about the player; it's also about the family. I have made this known on a number of occasions on this show. I will not umpire from behind home plate. It's not because I am afraid to get this. That has nothing to do with it. I am in constant contact with my parents, and there is no way that I am going to take that chance, albeit a very small chance. There is no way I'm taking that chance, because I would hate myself for the rest of my life if I was the person who infected one of my parents and ultimately caused them to pass away. You couldn't put me in a therapy fast enough at that point. So that's why I'm not behind home plate. If I was, in a different scenario, I'd be behind home plate, but not in this scenario. Absolutely no way. So with players that might have certain circumstances or similar circumstances, I'm going to be really curious to see how many Major League Baseball players just say, you know what, guys, I'm not going to play the 60 games. That I have too much to lose, and I'll see you guys in 2021.
Have they set an opt-out date for MLB? Because I know the NBA one has already come and gone, so you can't opt out anymore if you haven't opted out.
I don't know, and we would have to investigate on that.
There's probably going to be maybe like 2 weeks before the season. There's probably going to be an opt-out date where the players have until that date to say whether or not they're going to play or not. And I kind of, if you're not going to play, then I respect that, because that's your decision. You're not going to get paid.
Yeah, you're not going to get paid. And look, I mean, if you can afford that,
right,
and you think the risk is too high, then I have no problem with that, none whatsoever. Now, your fan base may not feel the same way, and that's a whole other subject. But again, if you have too much to lose in your home or whatever your living situation is, I can understand why someone would not want to play in the COVID-19 world.
And it might not be a lot of people in your situation where they're I mean, I bet players during this season, they can go 60 games with, not having direct contact with their elderly parents. But it might be, what if one of these players has a kid that for one reason or another has a genetic illness or whatever it may be that makes their immune system
absolutely you're done,
or a wife or whatever, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be crazy for you to play baseball
either you
knowing
don't play
that.
Or you just say, Daddy's going to be away for 70 days. I'll talk to you on FaceTime and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to make that little family sacrifice for my team. So you're going to have that discussion with your family on what's best. Because if they can handle you not being there for 80 days in a row or whatever it may be, then you do that, but you don't mix. You don't mix.
Let me just quietly say, if you're away from your spouse for a long period of time, and trust me, been there, done that, and I don't have a spouse anymore. So there you go. I'm just saying, you don't want to do that. That you better have a really, really strong marriage if you're even thinking about being away for 70 days or being away for a whole baseball season, because I am living proof that a marriage goes like that when you're away from your spouse 6 months at a time, let alone 70 days at a time.
But it's not. I mean, it's not going to be a consistent 6 months. It's just,
exactly.
It's this 70 days. We'll get through it, and then we're back to normal. As long, I mean, assuming next season goes back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the finances are going to be a large part of this as well.
Like, hey, if we do this, I'm going to bring in a lot of money.
Exactly. I mean, even the guys making minimum salary, you're still going to get six-figure. You're still going to be getting low 200,000, high 100 to 100,000, close to $200,000. That's nothing to sneeze at. So, I mean, if your situation is something where you're going to have be away from your family for 70 days or however long the season is, and maybe your team gets into the postseason and then it's a little bit longer, and that's okay. As long as everyone is on board with this and you make
and
sure
once
that...
again, so fluid, it might be 40 games in the season and be like, hey, families can be there now, not as much threat of getting sick. We've figured something out, whatever it may be. Okay, we're back to normal now. You know what I'm saying? So you just don't know what will happen. You just have to commit to this could happen. We don't know it will happen, but we could be apart for 70, 80 days.
And the other part of this, if you're a fan, and obviously we're all fans of the game, although I'm still pissed at them, but neither here nor there. Hopefully, at some point, we actually are allowed to see baseball.
Right.
Even if it's one for every 4 seats. If that's the case, then 10,000 people or somewhere around 10,000 people. I think the owners, if someone were to look at them and say, okay, you can have no more than 10,000 people in your stadium, I think right now the owners would be giddy because, well, that's 10,000 at $35, $40 a ticket. That's $400,000 plus the concessions, plus the parking. You're probably looking at close to $700,000 when it's all said and done per game.
You got to think, if that happens, are you going to lax the prices a little bit, knowing the state of the country right now?
Well, that's the other thing.
I mean, because you already kind of blew your public stance with that, with all the stuff that's been going on with the argument over money.
Exactly.
So are you going to shove that knife in a little bit further and say, you got to pay $60 per ticket to get into a game?
Well, and here's the thing, and we talked about this last week. I think Major League Baseball can really extend an olive branch to its fledgling fan base by allowing everyone to have a free year of television, where the MLB TV, the extra innings, you simply say, okay, we're going to drastically cut the price of this, and oh, by the way, we're going to drop the blackout.
I know it's not going to be free. I don't want it to be free because then, free is bad. Free is not capitalism. But
no, it isn't.
Drop the price significantly. I mean, it's $24 a month to get MLB TV on a normal. If you get it on the MLB app, you pay $25 a month, and that gives you the out of market games and the radio and all that stuff.
Drop it down to about 10.
$10 a month. I'll pay that.
Yeah. Drop it down to 10, and you'd have July, August, September. The postseason's on TV anyway, so drop it down to 10. You'll see a lot of people jump at that. And also drop the blackout rate and go from there. Now, if fans are allowed in the stands, okay, I would still drop the blackout rate, especially if you're only allowed 10,000 fans because, spoiler alert, everyone will have their seats sold. Right. I mean, unless you're in Miami, because they don't seem to draw all that much. But, I mean, neither here nor there.
No one wants to watch baseball in Florida. There's a lot better things to do.
Well, especially if you're looking at a team that is like 5 years away from competing, although I think the stance that Derek Jeter and the organization has taken is the right one.
But even when the Marlins were really fun, I mean, they weren't good, but they were fun to watch with Carlos Stanton and all that. They weren't really putting people in the seats.
No. Well, they were burned in 97, after the 97 season when they beat the Indians in 7.
Yep.
And the owner at the time, Jeffrey Loria, decided to destroy the franchise and trade everyone and their brother instead of allowing this team to further cement their legacy and bring in the fan base. Because people don't remember this. Even before the playoffs began in September, that ballpark, Pro Players Stadium, was 50, 60,000 in September. People were starting to really jump on Marlins baseball. And then when they did that, everyone was like, I'm not going to support this team. And then they turned around and won another championship in 04? I think it was either 02 or 04. They won another championship. And again, the city of Miami was, we're on board with this. And they did the same damn thing. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you people? Why would you do something like that? And to this day, the Marlins don't draw.
Yeah. Miguel Cabrera started with them, right?
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah. Miggy was, I saw him in 2002 as an 18-year-old in the Florida State League.
You probably see that and you just know, okay.
No doubts. And then I saw him as a 19-year-old because the Marlins had their AA franchise in Carolina. And he was called up that night. He was called up. He was in Jackson. And we were under the assumption, because he dogged it up the first base line on a ground ball out, and he was not seen the rest of that night. And I thought, okay, well, Carolina's manager is probably sitting him down because he was not running at all. I mean, it was a routine ground ball to the third baseman, and Miggy was jogging, Cadillacing up the first base line. And I thought, okay, well, he must be sat down. Well, he and Dontrell Willis were both called up that night to Miami, and the rest is history. The D Train was a lot of fun to watch. He just was in the minor leagues. And I knew Patrick Keenis, who is the broadcaster now for Durham. He was the AA voice of the Carolina Mudcats during that time period. And he flat out said, D-Train's going to own Major League Baseball marketing-wise because the kid just has got this personality that is unbelievable. And now his game wasn't because of injuries and whatnot, but you can see him on Fox every so often when he's on Whip Around with Burkhardt and the rest of them. He's got a great personality, and he's always had that.
Tell you who took up his mantle with the great personality and is always fun to watch is Beltre.
Yes.
From Texas.
Yes.
Oh, man. Love watching that kid play.
Yeah.
I know he retired last year, right? So now it's going to be up to someone else to kind of take up that mantle and try to be the personality of the league. And if Beltre goes into broadcasting or goes into the studio, he's going to be fun to see talk about baseball.
And I'd like to think that Lindor is one of those guys that can be the face of Major League Baseball. And again, this is all predicated on Major League Baseball actually marketing their kids and not just doing one commercial, albeit a fantastic commercial, let the kids play. I mean, that was their idea of marketing, to play that spot all year. It's like, no, that's one of 50 million different things that you guys should have done and should still be doing. But Lindor would be the perfect face for baseball. He's got the $1 million smile. He's just a great guy. Hopefully, Major League Baseball hires a marketing department that knows what they're doing.
And what's funny, most years Fox does a really good job marketing the All-Star game.
Yep.
And Fox is like giving them a blueprint. This is how you market baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like MLB looks at it and goes,
"Yeah, no, well, we're not interested in that." Well, okay, yeah. Who wants the kids to be involved in baseball? Yeah, it's just, come on, ridiculous.
Fox keeps giving them, here, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. No.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I understand that, you have your traditions, but good Lord, market this better.
I thought Biebel said it best. I mean, just like the traditionalists inside the game, there are traditionalists in the marketing, aspect of the game
Sure.
that think it's going to be done the same way it was in the 60s and 70s. And it's not that way anymore. You got to get people that are new in there that know how to market in today's era.
Yeah, it's like Major League Baseball doesn't even know how the hell to do their social media.
Right? I showed you the Royals on Friday. It was a long paragraph. No one's going to sit on Twitter and read that.
Exactly. This is not the world of everyone reads word for word. That went by years ago. You got to be fresh with your stuff. I mean, it's crazy how inept a major sports organization could be in terms of 21st century thinking. And look, I'm not the brightest bulb in the on the shelf when it comes to social media, but Anthony, I'm surprised that the Royals or someone wouldn't be approaching someone like you to say, hey, what can we do to make things a little bit better?
And there are organizations that do it. And the Indians have a really great Twitter account. I'll give them their props there. But there are teams that are like, you can just feel that their Twitter is run by an older person that doesn't quite get how to make a successful Twitter account.
Exactly. And I am not someone who likes age discrimination in any way, shape, or form.
I didn't mean that as all old people don't know how to run Twitter.
Exactly.
You actually do a really good job on Twitter. You're fun. You're a fun follow.
Yeah.
But there are the older generation people that don't quite get it, and you can tell they're running the site.
Exactly. It's just you don't be afraid to hire someone that knows a thing or two about social media, because whether the older crowd, of which I'm one, whether we want to admit this or not, the days of doing things the way it was done when we were kids, that shit sailed a long time ago.
Right.
That's yesterday's news.
And it's always sailed, because when you were a kid, the way that people did things 50 years ago, at that point, we're done.
Exactly.
TV changed things when in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
You got to constantly change with the world, or
Exactly.
you're going to get lost.
And unfortunately, Major League Baseball is learning a very painful lesson. And, marketing aside, one of the things, and, Chris Beeble talked about it, Kevin Burkhardt, when we had him on months ago, talked about this. Look, if this is a lost season, and it's going to be based on 60 games instead of 162 games, let's start doing things that we normally wouldn't do.
Right.
Let's start putting a microphone on a first base coach, a third base coach, 2 or 3 different players. Let's have a little bit of fun with this. I honestly believe if they catch up with the times and do this and do it the right way, like the XFL did with some of their marketing. Which,
XFL this year was marketing. They didn't fold because of their marketing.
No, they folded because the product wasn't all that good.
But COVID-19 came in.
Exactly, but could you imagine the National Football League miking up some players and actually having, hey, we're going to run this particular play,
Well, it happens, and they show it. It just doesn't pop up on the broadcast. It pops up the next day. We'll talk about Cam Newton a little bit later. There's a play where they're at like the 10-yard line, and the linebacker's saying, watch the wheel route, watch the wheel route. Cam Newton goes, oh, you watch film? That's cool, watch this. And throws a touchdown pass. It's a wheel route.
Yeah.
When you get those kind of moments, because the players are mic'd up and you can hear what they're saying, it's gold.
Oh,
it's
absolutely
gold.
It is. Absolutely it is. Now, I'll be a conspiracy theorist on this. There's a reason why you don't hear it live during football.
Because they don't watch their mouths.
And also the gambling aspect of it.
That too. But NFL doesn't care as much about that.
They should, because it's the reason why they're the most popular sport.
But they don't want that broadcast to turn into a R-rated.
Well, of course not.
And it would.
Yeah.
Really quick.
You would have to. You'd have to have a delay system for sure.
Really quick, and that's the XFL. They were on cable, so they could get away with someone. If someone said a couple of swear words, they could just get away with that as long as they didn't drop the big ones that the FCC gets really upset about. But NFL's on broadcast TV, so they have to be even extra careful on what they say.
Exactly, and you know, I mean, you can only do so much with.
Even in the way it is now, you hear those little blank spots in the audio, so you know their mic caught something. It happens.
Oh, absolutely.
Even with the players not mic'd up, those parabolic mics catch everything.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, that is again something that Major League Baseball could look into. Now, you don't do it immediately, but you take a lesson from some folks and you clean up the audio, because I'm sure there's producers that have the stuff built into their computer that you can clean up the words that might not be
gotta do it
suitable
because you're on like a 5-second delay, so
exactly.
You gotta catch it and
and you go from there. I think that Major League Baseball, it would be a breath of fresh air if Major League Baseball mic'd up a lot of players and coaches, especially the first and third base coach. I think it would be fantastic. Now, I'm not asking for them to talk to a player mid at bat or middle of an at bat from a pitcher's standpoint. No, absolutely not.
No, but like I said, slider's coming. Watch this, home run.
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be odd if he's talking to the broadcasters.
Yeah,
it's like a 2-2 pitch, and he steps out of the box, and he goes, "Hey guys, I guarantee slider's coming. Watch this." Slider comes, hits it out of the park.
That's gold.
Told you.
Yeah, I mean that's gold. It's stuff like that where you can get inside the game. I think that's something that you can most definitely do, and in a sport that needs positivity, that would be incredible.
There was a broadcaster that was telling a story last year where he was talking to a player between games, and he told the man, "You always swing at this first pitch fastball that's high, and it's and then the next game, the guy takes a first pitch fastball right down the middle, and he looks up at the broadcaster like, if they were mic'd up, that would have been
yeah. I was like,
gold.
Yeah, thanks a lot, dumbass. Oh, that's good.
But the really thing, the good ideas that MLB has, they don't execute on, really drive me even more crazy. Like the weekend where they have the players have their own names on their jerseys.
Yep.
It's great, but they didn't execute it right. They didn't market it right, and I felt like it was a swing and a miss. It was a great idea. It's great to see these funny names on the jerseys, but then they didn't go and execute it, and they didn't market it, and they didn't make it fun on social media, and they missed on that.
Exactly.
So when they have the good idea right in front of them and they still don't execute, that's what really drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's just there's so many things that Major League Baseball could do, and again with a 60-game season, I would throw so much stuff on the wall
right,
just to see what sticks, what fans would look and say, this is something that I would really like to incorporate in 2021 or the next full MLB season, and just go from there. Look, I don't want we're going to put a runner at second base automatically in the 10th inning. I think it's one of the dumbest ideas that you're going to come down with, because it's now affecting the statistical portion of the game, and it affects the game itself, much like the rule of if a player comes in or a relief pitcher comes in, he has to face 3 batters. That's garbage. No, you're now starting to affect the game of baseball. You can affect things away from the game. The game itself, the rules of the game, the dimensions, the whole 9 yards. Baseball is a perfect game on paper. It is a perfect game. I have a problem when people are trying to make rules that affect within the game. If you want to make a rule that doesn't affect the game, but it affects something on the outskirts of the game of baseball, no problem. Knock yourself out. But when you start spewing out a relief pitcher has to face 3 batters,
I don't know.
Now you're dealing with the game. I don't want that.
I don't know where they got that, because I mean I get the international tiebreaker rule because it's a thing in other levels of baseball. It happens in minor league baseball. It happens in international baseball. You're gonna see it in the Olympics next year. So I get where they got that. Like it works in other places. I don't understand where they got the relief pitcher thing, because no one else does that. It was just something they kind of pulled out of the box.
Well, it's that whole time-saving thing.
Right.
Well, if we put a relief pitcher in, he's got to face so many hitters, so we don't have a manager coming out and going, okay, his lefty-lefty thing is done. You're out of the game. Let's put a righty in.
At least they didn't pull the second base thing out of thin air. Like they just took it from somewhere else. They pulled that rule right out of thin air and just said, let's do this.
Yeah, and it's just absurd. Absolutely absurd. And both of them are absurd, which... Again, you can do it in minor league baseball, okay. Minor league baseball does not have the statistics that is sacred. And again, this is going to sound like a baseball snob, but it isn't. It is not a snobbish
Better
to say.
take your next drink with a pinky
hold on a second. Pinky extended. Hello.
Baseball.
It's a great sport tea right here.
It's a great sport tea, Governor.
Governor. No, it's sacred because you have, in the history of baseball, either a 154-game season or a 162-game season. And the statistics are there, and you've not done anything within the game of baseball that precludes from these statistics being legitimate. Now you're screwing around with the legitimacy of the statistics by putting a runner at second base to start the 10th inning, which is asinine.
But you've also added a lot of statistics since then, and some statistics back then aren't as important as they were back then.
No, that's true.
So statistics have changed a lot.
That is true. And it's interesting that the statistics that were not put in place from way back when that are now being put in place, they now go back to the eras where it wasn't put in place, and they put it in place. Mm-hmm. Like the OPS when Babe Ruth was playing, no one had ever heard of OPS. I mean, that wasn't a thing during that era.
Is that a postal service?
Exactly. Yeah. That wasn't a thing back then. But you look and see what Ruth's OPS was back in the day. Oh my God.
Right.
Dude was routinely 1,100 and stuff. Okay, yeah, that's pretty solid. That shows you just how great of a player he was, albeit in a league where you didn't play against the best of the best.
And then they take WAR and they apply it to the old people, and that's some fun stuff to get too, because WAR is a fun stat to dive into if you love the analytics of baseball, because that's what it is. It's wins above replacement. How many wins does this guy get for his team, basically, and they statistically categorize that?
Yeah.
So WAR is fun to get into if you like the analytics of baseball.
Yeah, it's
complicated.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're a casual fan, don't try it because you'll get lost.
And like any other statistic, it can be played a million different ways. It's not 100% foolproof.
There's a difference between overall WAR, defensive WAR for pitchers.
It's a lot of complicated stuff, which, if you're into that stuff,
but that's
great.
always been baseball. They've always had stats that go beyond what other sports stats have.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that's, it's a statistical driven game.
It's a great way to teach kids math.
Boy, you're not kidding. It's a fascinating way to teach kids math. My table of contents in 7 was by the National Football League.
Oh, yeah.
By 3 was the National Football League.
Coming into, when we started learning multiplications, I knew the 7s like this before we even started because...
Yeah, because you're watching football.
And then I think that, and then bowling's another good... When you're starting to learn math, take a kid bowling and make them keep their own score.
Yeah, especially if you get a strike,
right,
and then do a spare. Well, that's 20 points for the strike, and then you got to wait for the first ball on the spare. Oh, yeah, that's fun time.
Because I in middle school and in elementary school, we went to Arrowhead Lanes, which was even back then that was about the only place that made you keep your own score.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
So that's one of the ways we learned math.
I remember those days. I was in a Saturday morning bowling league over there back in the day, and it was I missed that place.
Right,
that was a fun place to hang out and go bowling. And they had pinball machines over, and their snack bar was pretty solid. Arrowhead was one of my favorite places.
That's one of the. I think that's still one of the most nostalgic sounds in sports is the pins getting knocked over by a bowling ball. I mean, when you think of sports sounds, that's one of them. that goes right. I mean, it's iconic.
Okay, now you've got me thinking on something. We're going to take a timeout, and I want your top 3 sounds of sports that you can't that you think is the cat's meow. We're going to go with that. Top 3 sounds of sports, and I have mine already. Right. I have mine already. Not that I've done any of the 3, but we'll go through the 3 and we'll go from there. Plus your phone calls. By the way, we're not poo-pooing you folks. It is Monday, and you're allowed to call us 330-886-0813. Callers, your poll question for the rest of the show: give me your 3 best sports sounds. Like I'll throw out some.
Don't use
sounds.
yours. Don't use yours.
Well, no, I'm not going to. A football being kicked, punted. Okay. That's a good sound. A soccer ball being kicked. That's a good sound. Just 3 sounds that you love in all sports. We'll talk about this. That's all coming up in a bit. It's a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Friday night, it's fresh limousine. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, like I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, strut down the street. It's gonna get hot in here, I hope you can handle the heat.
Over the years, you watched us grow, and as we've grown, so has the Myers Family Insurance team.
Thanks to all of you who have trusted our families to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come. So call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
It's a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside the golfing guru, the man who can predict golf like no one's business, Anthony Hartwig.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll leave the techniques and the tips to Toner over there because he's got definitely the more experience than I have in that situation. But when it comes to just picking guys and looking at doing my research and trying to pick winners, so far I've done a pretty good job. So we'll see if that continues.
As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, I will be making a trip to West Virginia immediately after the show on Wednesday and putting money on whoever you say is going to win this thing. And
Putting
we'll
some pressure on my prep work tomorrow and Wednesday morning. And
I mean, no pressure at all.
No,
I mean, it's, I give you.
I don't want to lose you money.
Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to be giving you agent fee, so,
Right.
10 or 20% of whatever of whatever I make or whatever. Again, Dustin Johnson winning the event, just like Anthony said he would. Shot a 3 under for the final round, 19 under for the tournament, which is really interesting because Brian Tilnar said 20 under would win the event. 20 under would have won the event if someone shot 20 under. So 19 under wins the event. So congratulations to Dustin Johnson.
I think it's his 21st victory on tour.
Yes.
He shot a 61 on Saturday, which is one of the things that really helped him get into position to win on Sunday.
Bryson DeChambeau wound up in 6th place, 4 shots back. My boy Fleischman, he melted.
His head caved in.
Yeah, he melted in a big way. I don't know where the hell did he finish. Good Lord, he went all the way down the leaderboard. He shot a 2 over to go to 5 under for the tournament. He wound up tied for 58th. So yeah, that wasn't good.
How did Brian's boy Spieth do?
Oh, now I got to go back here. I thought Spieth did pretty well. Hang on a second. We're going to have to scoot back up here. Spieth wound up. Apparently, he didn't do very good. All right, let me go back down here. He wound up 6 under for the tournament.
Not terrible.
Yeah, tied for 54th. Jason Kokrak, 2nd straight week, no golf for the weekend. And I'll be curious to see where he is in terms of the next PGA event. By the way, he's currently 73rd in the FedEx Cup standings, which is not good. So your boy Wade Simpson is number 1. Yeah, and Justin Thomas is number 2. So there you go. All right, we've had some time to think about this. At 330-886-0813, your 3 favorite sounds of sports.
I tell you, when it comes to sounds that are instantly recognizable, and you can't miss it, like if you just played sounds, closed your eyes, and all you heard was the sound, I think bowling is up there. I think it's unique. You can't miss the sound of the pins. I'm going to say the swish of a net in basketball.
There you go.
And then I'm going to say... See, I wanted to say crack of the bat because that's also very recognizable. But then, you watch baseball on so many levels and you watch softball too, so the crack is so different in each level.
Yeah.
Like you hear a ping in college baseball and you hear more of a thud in softball. So I don't know if it's a distinctive sound for that sport for me that I stick out. You know what? I feel like if I closed my eyes and heard a tennis ball getting hit by a racket, I would instantly know that. So I'm going to go tennis.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the sounds I would know instantly if I just heard that sound without any video or help.
Okay. I'm gonna go in golf. Ball going into the cup.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Ball going into the cup is pretty solid. I'm with you on bowling. Hitting the pins, that is a cool sound.
Yeah.
It really is a cool sound. I'm with you on basketball. The purity of the sport of basketball, when you hear a ball have nothing but net and you hear that swishing sound, that is one of the coolest sounds. But my first love in life, other than my parents and siblings, was the game of baseball.
Crack of the bat.
And I detest with every fiber of my being the crack of a metal ping.
Ping.
Yeah. That's not baseball. That's not the sound of baseball.
It's starting to sound like Branch Wilder again.
That's
not baseball.
That's not baseball. Get those skates off my lawn. That's not baseball. No, the crack of the bat is it's a different sound. You hear certain sounds of and when someone's got a long home run based on what you hear coming off the crack
Some
of the
of the
bat.
really cool ones are the home runs that are so well hit they almost don't even make a noise.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like Mark McGwire had a couple of those.
Yeah.
Where it was like you didn't even hear it come off the bat, almost. But then when someone with that really loud like crack, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it was interesting during the Ken Burns documentary on baseball, which I thought made the second half of and now I'm drawing a blank on his name, which is horrible because he is the reason why the Negro League Museum is up and running and celebrating its 100th anniversary in Kansas City. Played for the Monarchs. Buck O'Neil.
Buck O'Neil. Oh,
Yeah,
the
Buck O'Neil.
legacy seat, Kaufman City.
Yeah, Buck O'Neil. Buck O'Neil was famously interviewed countless number of times during that documentary, which if you've never seen it, A, what are you waiting for? And B, go see it because it's phenomenal. It really is, especially the continuation of the ninth inning and then extra innings when they pick up on it and go to the modern day game. But Buck O'Neil famously said, I have only heard the crack of the bat 2 different times, a completely different sound. Josh Gibson in his heyday, Bo Jackson when he became a member of the Kansas City Royals, and he said, and if I live long enough, I'm going to hear that unique sound a 3rd time before I pass away. I bring that up because August of last year, this was when Franmil Reyes came to Cleveland. He hit a ball down the left field line for a double. And I closed my eyes to hear this enormously unique crack of the bat. And I was like, God, I think I just heard a completely different sound altogether from Franmil Reyes. It was just one time, and he's done it subsequently a couple of other times. But I understand now what Buck O'Neil was saying, because Franmil Reyes hits a ball that sounds completely different than any other guy that hits a ball off a bat. It is a completely different sound to it. I really look forward to seeing him play, and hopefully he'll put up some large numbers.
And another sound, like an honorable mention sound, I'll say, the pads hitting each other in football.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, that, and then if you watch a basketball game without hearing the squeaks of the floor.
The squeaks of the floor, absolutely.
If it's almost like you don't notice it, but then if you take it away, you really notice it. Like if you're watching a game, if you watch as much basketball as I do, sometimes you don't even hear the squeaking. But then when you take that away, it's like it throws you totally off.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when we were practicing all of last basketball season, we'd have kids running ladders. And again, you would go baseline to foul line, scoot down to the end line, down, over. And the goal is to run as fast as you can to the line, stop as quickly as you can, and then turn off, down, over, and then stop as quickly as you can at the half-court line. And my thing that I always told the kids was, I want to hear your tires squeal. And I want to hear the sound of your shoes. That's telling me that you're doing this drill right. Because if I don't hear it, then you're not doing this drill right. So I'm with you on that one. I really never thought about that, but yeah, the sneakers squealing on the basketball floor, that is a great sound.
And then, I mean, I don't like it because my ears are sensitive, but the roar of NASCAR driving by.
Yeah.
Even when you get on the TV,
yeah.
That's a pretty cool,
I had a bad incident
you forgot
with that. I forgot my
earplugs
and damn near blew my hearing out in Martinsville. And Martinsville's a bowl.
Yep.
So I had to spend extra money that weekend and invest in one of those headphones. And even that wasn't really helping the situation. I mean, look, you get one race car revved up and going around that track, that was damaging enough. I was like, oh my God, that was ridiculous. That's 42 cars are going to be doing this? Oh, my hearing is going to be gone forever. Yeah, it was crazy. Definitely crazy.
And when you put it in a bowl, that's going to make it even worse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely it is. So, no, the revving of the engines and the cars going by in NASCAR, or Indy, whichever car you like to see, Formula One, Indy, NASCAR, the roar of that car or series of cars going past you is something phenomenal. It really is. Horse racing and listening to a number of horses coming down the stretch, and you hear this rumbling sound in the distance as they're starting to get ever closer to wherever you're standing, and it just gets louder and louder until you have these horses whiz right by you. That's a really cool sound as well.
And then there's one sport in volleyball where it's a silence. It's if a setter is good enough to set the ball with no noise at all,
using the fingertips.
Yep. I mean, the best sets are done silently. And you don't get it too often where a setter is so good that you don't even hear the ball hit off the hands. But when that happens, it's something special.
Oh, no question. Yeah, and to your point, the spiker that hits the volleyball with authority on a downward trend, assuming he or she can get their hands over the net, that's a great sound.
The best sound in volleyball is when someone comes up and blocks, because it's a boom. You know, you hear
a double tap,
and then it goes out. You know.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool sound as well. All right, 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. We glossed over B-League. Kind of did an 18U. We really didn't do 16 or 14U per se. Again, prospects with their big victory over Astro Falcons on Thursday. They got beat on Friday, but they turned around and won on Sunday. So they're off to a decent record as they're 5-5, and they are currently in 5th place all by their lonesome. You go to 16U. There is a leader, and it's not the Astro Falcons, although the Astro Falcons are a very close second. Nightline is currently undefeated at 7-0.
They got the big win over the Astro Falcons yesterday on Sunday, so that was important. They beat them 5-1 pretty handily. Coral pitched great, and he's been pitching great all summer for them. I think he's one of the best pitchers in 16U in Class B. He's just really fun to watch. He's got electric stuff. So when he's pitching for Nightline, that's going to be a tough team to beat.
Now, I was told that the Astro Falcons had a tournament that they were in, and they played a ton of games that week in the tournament that they were in, and they weren't 100% capacity. That sounds like sour grapes in some ways. But
yeah, Nightline's going to hear that and be like, so we beat the team you put out on the field.
There you go.
Period.
And that's all that matters.
So if you didn't take us seriously enough to put out your best, then yeah, hey, we're 7-0 and you're 5-1-1.
And the Astros at 5 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie.
Mm-hmm.
Currently in 2nd place in the 16U division. And again, we're going to have the second half of baseball played a little bit differently, where a game can now go past 2 hours. It's not 2-hour drop dead. It's now 2 hours, and if you start an inning before 2 hours are in, you have to play that half inning. And at the end of that half inning, then the game is over. So that makes things a little bit easier and potentially a little more exciting. As Nightline is 7-0, Astros 5-1-1, Dura Edge is 5-2, Eagleware 3-3-1, Ballistic is 3-3-1. It's in 16U. Whiting 3-4, Prospects 2-4-1, Creekside Fitness 2-5, Avalanche 1-5-1, Roth Brothers 1-5-1. This will not go into effect until Game 10. So they're still going to be playing 2-hour drop dead for another couple of games. It goes into effect in game number 10. So you still have a couple of games to be played under the old format.
Hey, when you watch 16U, one of the teams that's kind of doing things under the radar but still doing a really good job, Dura Edge. They only have 2 losses. They're sitting there, third?
Yeah, 5-2.
They're quietly putting together a really good summer, and they could be dangerous.
Yeah, that could be a fun team. That could be a very fun end of the 2020 B-League season.
When you go to 18U, Roth Brothers, to start out the season, weren't doing too hot. They were 2-4. They've won 4 in a row, and all of a sudden they're sitting in 4th at 6-4. And they're looking like a really hot team that if they continue that streak, getting to the playoffs as a hot team, they can make some noise too.
Yeah, and they're actually tied for 3rd with Whiting. Both teams are 6-4, so they have already gone into the new format for the game. Astros will be playing their first game into the new format. Creekside is already in the format. Everyone's in the format with the exception of Astros and Nightline. Those 2 teams have yet to play a game in the brand new format, and they will, when they play each other or their next game, they will be in the new format. And again, the new format for 18 and 16U, you no longer have a 2-hour drop-dead time limit. It's now going to be, you can start a half an inning at an hour and 59 minutes. As long as you start the half inning under 2 hours, you have to play that half inning to its conclusion before the game is ultimately called. So that should help things out.
And tonight we have 6 14U games on slate on scene 1 through 3. So finally time for 14U to get in some games. They've been rained out last week.
Yeah, they've been rained out an awful lot. Let's get back to the phone lines. Champ, you're on YSNLive.com. What's up, brother?
Yeah, how are you guys doing today?
Good.
All right. I'm going to weigh on a topic because it's an interesting. I give you credit because I've never really heard that topic before. The sounds of the game, and at first I wasn't sure what you were talking about. Now I get it, but I jotted down some that you may or may not mention. Specifically, hockey. I mean, the hitting of the posts on the puck when you just missed that ping sound.
Oh, that's a good sound. Yeah, unless you're the guy that shot the puck.
Also in hockey, crashing into the boards. That's pretty iconic too.
Right. Also, like the communication that goes on whenever the power play is almost over, the goalie hits his stick on the ice. And you can hear them tapping that stick 3 or 4 times so the rest of the players could hear it, signifying that you got about 5 seconds before that power play is over.
Under 10 seconds left on the power play.
When I think hockey, though, I think the most iconic sound in hockey is just the sound of the skates going across the ice. I mean, when you think hockey, I think the first sound that comes to your head is that sound that the blades make across the ice. That's a really unique sound that isn't anywhere else in sports.
I'm going to give you another one, and it's probably a no-brainer if you think about it. And it depends on which barn you're in, which facility. When someone scores a goal, the noise that people will make, whether it's a truck driver blowing the air horn, whether it's a siren, whether it's just an air horn. I think that sound is pretty cool. I like the truck driver air horn when you go, and that noise to me is really cool.
You know, another sound in hockey too, that when the hockey players come up and they stop on a dime and they swish that snow. Sometimes they do it right in the goalie's face. That sound of the skates stopping and hitting the ice, and all that snow goes flying up into the goalie's face. I know the goalie doesn't particularly like that, but that's kind of a neat little sound.
No,
but,
that's a great sound, Shemp. I like that.
Yeah. But, I got to tell you, before I move on, another sound. The most anticlimactic sound, which always bothered me about hockey, is when they're explaining who had the goal and the assist while the play is still going on. I think that's so anticlimactic. I'd rather them have a pause in the play and then announce all that stuff. But they announce that while they've resumed progress or resumed play on the ice. It's kind of very anticlimactic. You kind of listen to it and you kind of don't listen to it because of the play still going on. I wish they would have a little pause there where they could say that. Now they got to figure out how many people had the assist and all that, so they can't do it immediately. But I always thought that was kind of weird the way they did that. You kind of hear it and you kind of don't hear it. But in football, how about the audible play calling by the quarterback, where they come and say that Kansas City, they'll say certain things, they'll say phrases you've heard of before. Thanksgiving dinner and weird things when they call audibles. They yell that out to the quarterback.
Omaha.
Right. But baseball to me, and I don't know if you mentioned the bullpen, the catcher's mitt hitting when you watch the guys run with the bullpen, that sound of that ball hitting the catcher's mitt, it echoes that loud sound, evidenced by how hard the guy's throwing. You always like to do that. But to me, the baseball sounds are from the crowd. That's what I love about baseball, because it's not like other sports. They stop and go. But the crowd noises, the vendors, beer here, popcorn, peanuts, and if you close your eyes, you can hear almost people's individual conversations. That kind of stuff that goes on live at a baseball game. Really appreciate that. You don't find that in other sports so much like baseball. That's what makes it unique.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Champ. This one's just for you. Okay.
Okay. Red Wings. Red Wings.
Nice.
So that's two more. Yeah, that's probably two more times I heard it all last season. But anyways, yeah, it's good. I forgot about that sound, matter of fact. But it's a great topic. There are so many interesting sounds of sports and we can mention. But to me, the best are the crowds of baseball. Just the stuff that goes on when the action's not happening, when you have the batter stepping out, whatever. But the vendors, I remember when Cleveland in the 70s, when you couldn't get a lot of people to the games, you could hear those very distinctly. You could almost pick, you knew every vendor and their voices. And there was a guy, I'll close with this, there was a guy that used to stadium that was a opera singer. And he used to sell I don't know what he sold, beer or whatever, but he would sing real loud opera, and he yodeled once in a while. He became very famous at Tiger Stadium for years, and he was a young kid who was in college, I think, but that was very unique. But baseball, once again, comes out number one on my list.
There's a guy in Cleveland that is not only doing this at Progressive Field, he goes over to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and sells beer during the Cavaliers season. And he goes, the beer man, beer guy's here, who wants a beer? And he's just, I mean, it's obnoxious, but it is hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, I guess soft-spoken people probably aren't going to qualify for those positions, because you got to have a big, loud mouth like I do. And I think, Ron, you and I are in that same boat. We both have pretty much loud voices that really project. That's important when you're selling beer at a stadium.
Well, if this gig doesn't work out, I think I'm going to call Hamilton up and say, okay, since you got your baseball job and I didn't get that, can you let me be a beer vendor over there and we'll have some fun?
They'll probably let you do it when there's no fans, just to practice.
Oh, there you go.
In an empty stadium. The acoustics will be really good.
Yeah, the acoustics will be phenomenal for me to do that.
Man, no one's buying today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Anyways, great topic, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, champ, be good. That was good. The vendor in baseball, we've forgotten about that.
When you talk about sounds of Progressive Field, though, it's the drummer. It's the drum.
Oh yeah, John Adams
boom,
beating
boom,
the drum.
Yeah, I mean, that's unique to Progressive Field. No one else really does quite that. And
well, Kansas City and Florida State and Atlanta doing the
they do the
tomahawk chop.
Yeah. We did it first. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just going to say we did it first.
I think Florida State might have. I think
that.
Florida State might have been the first one on that, but we'll never.
I've never
know,
been to Arrowhead, so I can't say what that sounds like firsthand. I haven't gotten myself to Arrowhead yet, so They bang the drum too. They have before the game. They have an honorary person go up and bang the drum and lead the.
There you go.
Chant. So,
okay.
And then they play. There's a song it's for the Chiefs. I forget what it is. It's an old rock song.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of the name right now.
Buffalo has a.
They have tables.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you close your eyes and you hear someone go through a table, you're
Buffalo.
You're either at a WWE event or you're in Buffalo in the Orchard Park at the stadium and in the tailgate lot. But Buffalo has their fight song to the tune of "Shout."
You make me wanna.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do too much of it to get slapped by.
So and that was been around for I don't know, at least 2 decades. It's kind of like the whole dog pound thing with the Browns. At one of these times, you have to put this to bed, but no one in Buffalo wants to put it to bed because it's just catchy.
Oh, that song is very catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You make me wanna.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
got it now.
Yeah, they're
and then,
let's go Buffalo.
Fenway has Sweet Caroline for some
absolutely.
reason.
For some reason, they have Sweet Caroline.
For some reason, it's a Boston thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the when they win, dun 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 dun, they play that tune.
Hey, when they win, Cleveland has the Cleveland Rocks.
Cleveland Rocks, absolutely. New York at Yankee Stadium, they'll play the Sinatra version of New York, New York when they win. They'll play the Liza Minnelli interpretation when they lose, which is kind of an insulting thing to Liza Minnelli. I don't know what the hell she did to the organization. Whatever. There's all kinds of different sounds to sports that. It's kind of fun to listen to.
And we're talking all these baseball sounds. None of them are marketed.
Yeah, no
all
kidding.
All these different things that baseball stadiums do, none of them are marketed.
The other sound that I really like hearing, and if you are privy to going to a football game and you're over near the tunnel where the guys are coming out, or if you're privy to having a location where they're coming out of the locker room, the sound of the cleats hitting the asphalt or something where you hear that distinct sound.
You hear it a lot in travel baseball and softball.
Yeah.
They're walking on that gravel with their cleats.
Yeah, or they're walking on cement, and you hear that sound.
That's a cool sound.
Yeah, it is. That's a very cool sound. And they're either walking onto the field or walking toward the field, getting ready to do battle, or they're now, leaving the battlefield and heading back home or wherever. So I think it's a very unique sound as well. Most definitely.
Yeah, and I'm trying to now. We've opened a can of worms because there's so many that we didn't even think about in the first couple minutes. I mean, remember back when soccer got fascinated with that horn.
Yeah.
That was just
the Zuzu
droning through the whole game.
Yeah.
Annoying as all get out, but also unique and iconic to that sport. Like once you heard that, now I can't hear that noise without thinking about soccer.
Unfortunately, and this would have been.
And how about the sound of someone sliding into home? The sound of their body going across the dirt.
Oh yeah.
And
or stealing second, and you hear the shoe or the hand touch the bag.
That's why everyone mics that stuff up now because it's a good sound.
Yeah.
It's
go back to the Zulu or whatever the hell those things are called. We were on the precipice of winning the division in Huntsville in, I want to say, 2008. It was one of those, either 07 or 08. One of those two. I think it was 08. And I was calling the game in Huntsville, and some employees of the Diamond Jacks came to Huntsville. For whatever reason, they wanted to be in front of my broadcast booth, blowing that god-awful Zulu or whatever the hell it's called. And I about yanked one of them off of my coworker and broke it in half. I was just like, get your ass down out there. I'm trying to do a game. Can't do that.
And we didn't even say marching bands in football,
Absolutely.
college football, and high school football. I mean, we talked about it, a couple weeks ago, but that's just an iconic. You can't have college and high school football without the bands. It wouldn't feel right.
No, absolutely. And say what you want about Michigan.
They got a good one. They got a good fight song.
Yeah, it's not the fight song. Every once in a while they'll play dun 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 dun. Yeah, that song is iconic.
For me, that's more of like I hear that in basketball. When the prep band comes out for basketball.
Yeah.
That's in every but football, yeah. I mean, when they play like the Darth Vader Imperial March, when the other team does something, I mean, that's cool.
No, it is. It is.
I mean,
in baseball, you'll hear the Darth Vader theme being played when the visiting team is announced their starting lineup.
For the longest time, the South Range Band, who are the Raiders, played the Pirates of the Caribbean theme, which just I told Donnie Fair, and I said in basketball for our intro, it should be that. It shouldn't be the the normal high. It should be the Pirates theme because nothing says Raiders like the Pirates of the Caribbean main title song.
True.
Greatness.
I wonder why the Pittsburgh Pirates
right?
don't adopt that.
I went down to Washington, the
Wild
Things.
Yeah.
But professional softball was using their stadium for a while in PA. And if they were down the seventh, they would play. There was a speech from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. They would play it. They would say "Hoist the colors," and it felt right. And I was like, the Pirates should, if they're down in the ninth, play that snippet, play the "Hoist the colors," or and then have that flag come up. It'd be a great.
I've seen that a couple of times at PNC. I think that's pretty cool.
Right.
I'm gonna go comedy. And go John Belushi, Animal House, when he was trying to get even with the group of knuckleheads, and right off the bat, over. Did you say over? Nothing is over until we determine it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Germans? Forget it. He's rolling. I think it's just absolutely hilarious. And you can splice the two together because the first time Belushi goes out, no one follows him, and then he goes in and rips him and says, "Where's the guts? You guys are," and I got to throw a couple of words I'm not going to say.
Right.
And then his sidekick says, "Yeah, he's right." And then they go on and say, "Let's do it," and everyone goes out the door. So, from Animal House, that is one of the cool bottom of the ninth or rally killer or rally theme type of stuff that goes on in baseball, which is pretty cool. Third down, I don't know if it's anywhere else, but in Cleveland they play the theme from Halloween.
Oh, if the other team's third down?
Yeah, on third down and the Browns are on defense. They'll start playing that theme, and then the PA announcer will go, "It's third down," and they're playing that stuff. Yeah.
No, I'd leave the stadium. I ain't taking any chances.
Now, closer to home, if you've ever gone to a game at Stambaugh,
okay,
the steam whistle is phenomenal.
Georgia Tech has that too. Every third down,
the steam whistle's phenomenal. Absolutely love that, and they play that on third down, or when the Penguins do something really cool, they'll hit that steam whistle. Which that's part of Youngstown's culture because of the steel mill industries.
And then you go to Tennessee and they'll play Rocky Top every time a Tennessee player sneezes, gains a yard. Rocky Top. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And why not? It's a cool, catchy tune.
I don't think any band plays their fight song as much as Tennessee plays Rocky Top.
Ohio State would say, "Hold my beer."
Tennessee does it a lot. Like if they gain 5 yards, bring on Rocky Top.
Yeah. They love Rocky Top. An interesting sidebar to that.
But it's Neyland Stadium. Awesome.
Neyland Stadium's phenomenal. Yeah, it really is. Sidebar to Rocky Top. The first couple of years that I was there, the owners of the team were Baltimore fans, and they wanted to do John Denver after the 7th inning stretch. John Denver, thank God I'm a country boy. And
I thought you meant the West Virginia.
You would hope that would get everyone riled up and ready to go. It's a catchy tune. And it didn't work in Jackson, Tennessee.
No.
So we said,
you're in Tennessee. You know what
okay, even though you're closer to Memphis than you are to Knoxville, UT is a statewide phenomenon, and you have to play it.
You have to play
so,
Rocky.
Bottom of the 7th inning, I did take me out to the ball game, and then we would have the UT marching band playing Rocky Top. Well, here's a little interesting story. David Price made his AA and minor league debut at Pringles Park as a member of the Montgomery Biscuits. David Price went to Vanderbilt.
Oh, you play it all the time.
Now,
you play it down his throat.
We had 4,000 people in Pringles Park, which is a very much a rarity because we couldn't draw anybody because for whatever reason the city of Jackson and the West Tennessee area did not support the West 10 Diamond Jacks, now called the Jackson Generals, and there's a reason why they're one of the 42 teams that are going to ultimately lose minor league baseball unless something is done. David Price comes out, and again, went to college at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is located in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Vanderbilt has a very unique following, but they're nowhere near in numbers to UT.
Not even close.
We had a person in charge of the music who hated, despised everything that was about Vanderbilt. And his mission, or so he thought, was to play Rocky Top as much as they possibly could during the part where David Price was pitching. I kid you not. Every other pitch, this god-awful song came on.
It's a good song.
It's a great song.
Unless you hear it.
Unless you hear it 150 times, which what we heard. And our public address announcer is a huge UT fan. So we're playing this every other pitch. We're playing this when he doesn't retire anyone. We're playing this after a half an inning. We get to the 7th inning stretch, I do my thing, and the public address announcer says, hey, let's play an original song, Rocky Top. Take that, Vanderbilt fans. Really? You guys are really going to crap on the people that showed up to watch David Price play?
I wouldn't make it personal because of that, but I would definitely be playing it like no other.
Oh, yeah, we heard that song, I kid you not, 50 times at least during the course of the 9-inning game.
Have to.
I was just like Rocky topped out. I was just, stop, no more. Uncle, I'm tapping out here. No more. Please, no more. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And just and I look back on some of the stuff that we did. Little subtleties that we did not want to be in Jackson, Tennessee anymore. After the game was over and people were filing out, we're playing the Animals. We've got to get out of this place. After every game, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is kind of hilarious. But then after a while, you're like, Jesus, no wonder why we're not drawing anybody. Y'all have pissed off everyone in West Tennessee by playing We Got to Get Out of This Place.
I'm walking to Memphis.
Oh, my Lord.
That should have been playing. You guys were pretty close to Memphis, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a song that should have gotten played once or twice.
Yeah, we were close enough to Memphis to where the first year or so, I'd have I'd have my family's friends and family come down for a visit, and it's to the point my now ex-wife and I were just saying, okay, whose turn is it to take these people to see Elvis's place? Because I don't want to go. Well, it's your turn. Oh, I'm sick of it. Well, it's your turn. I'll give you $10 if you do it. I don't want your money. It's your turn. Oh, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. So, no, cool place. If you've never been there before,
right.
It is a really it's.
But if you've been there a lot,
if you've been there 10 times,
that's why I feel for tour guides.
Yeah,
they have to do that day in and day out. It's like you kind of lose the thing that makes that place special, you know? If you're a tour guide, you're going there every day.
Absolutely. Now, I will say, if you've never been to Memphis before, I would wholeheartedly suggest Elvis Presley's mansion. You gotta check it out because it's phenomenal.
Go to a Memphis Tigers football game.
Go to a Memphis Tigers football game.
Because they take it seriously.
And they do.
Go to a basketball game at Memphis, though.
Go to the FedEx Forum.
They take it. I mean, forget football. They take their basketball unreasonably seriously.
Yeah. And the FedEx Forum is a cool place to watch a game.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a cool place to watch a game. The other place, or two places, that I would suggest, number one, you got to walk on Beale Street. It actually is safe. There's a lot of areas of Memphis that is not. Beale Street is very safe. Walking up and down Beale Street is an adventure. It's kind of like walking up and down Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
Ooh.
A little smaller venue,
Try
but
that.
yeah. Stay away from 201 Poplar. That's I will just say, when I first moved to Jackson, for the first couple of months, you would hear the Memphis news, because we got both. The cable company that we had, we would have Nashville and Memphis stations, and you would tune into a Memphis station, and for a couple of months, I kept hearing such and such was arrested and charged with aggravated assault. He was sent to 201 North Poplar, where he was booked. And I'm like, what the hell is 201 North Poplar? So finally, after hearing about a week or so of this, I finally went up to one of my colleagues at work and said, can somebody please answer me, what the hell is 201 North Poplar? And they go, oh, that's the jail. So why don't they just say Memphis jail? They go, no, man, that's 201 North Poplar. Everyone knows that that's the jail. Okay. So avoid 201 North Poplar in Memphis at all costs. You don't want to be there. If you're going to try barbecue, Corky's has really, really good barbecue sauce.
Memphis has good barbecue.
Memphis has phenomenal barbecue. The
Kansas
barbecue
City's
sauce, I agree with you, by the way. Wholeheartedly agree with you. But Memphis has barbecue sauce from Corky's.
Barbecue sauce.
And Corky's is really, really good. As a matter of fact, if you go to, they have Kroger down there, which we no longer have. If you are in Jackson or Memphis, you can purchase Corky's barbecue sauce at Kroger. And I bought it by the friggin' truckload when I left there to go up north, because there's something very special about that kind of food. I mean, the food in Tennessee will make you gain about 20 pounds because it is really good.
Yep, I agree. My brother went to school in Knoxville, not UT. He went to Johnson Bible College, which is pretty much right. It's in Knoxville.
Yep.
But so I spent a lot of time in that area, and the food is different. It's different in Tennessee.
Yeah,
they do things different.
It's fried catfish is a treat. Especially if they do it really well.
I've never seen more people in checkered overalls than you do in Tennessee. People like
they like the checkered
board
end zone.
But they'll just go out in public in overalls that are checkerboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, they're UT
What they did
fans.
really cool. They checkerboarded the stadium, and they took people and they said, "You're sitting in orange. You're sitting in white." It looked very good. They executed it well.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, the checkered board end zone is iconic. It really is in Tennessee. It's very iconic.
And they did it in that Oklahoma game where they were up a lot, and then Oklahoma came back for us, and it was a great game, and they checkerboarded the stadium. So Oklahoma won.
Yeah.
With Baker.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Interesting year coming up for Baker. Third year.
Interesting year coming up for you guys, because now you got... We
haven't talked about it.
We're going to talk about it.
Cam Newton is in New England. He signs a deal. Belichick strikes again.
How do you feel about that?
I still think Buffalo wins the East.
Do you think he is a shoo-in to be their starter? Or do you think because they were sold on this Stidham guy.
Yeah.
And do you think they're like, well, this year we're going to need a solid backup because if Stidham gets COVID-19 or something, we're hosed? Do you think Cam Newton's coming in to be a backup, or do you think there's a legitimate chance he starts for the Patriots?
Not only do I think he starts, I think he's an all-pro.
Really?
I think he goes to the Pro Bowl by the end of the year.
So you
Belichick will bring out the absolute best in this guy.
It's never been Cam Newton mentally. It's been his health.
Yeah.
His shoulder's been gone for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Is he healthy? That's what I'm asking. Like, is Cam Newton still what he was?
I don't think you're ever going to see Cam Newton where he was running and able to be a dual-threat quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's gone. But I think this is a great signing in that Tom Brady didn't throw the ball very far down the field. I mean, every once in a while you would see him throw the ball 25, 30 yards down the field, more the earlier part of the year than the later part of the year. But I think that the New England offense was predicated on 10-yard strikes and let the receivers do their thing. Look, if Cam Newton is somewhat healthy and he can throw the ball with accuracy 5-10 yards down the field, he'll be all right. I think he'll be fine.
When he was healthy in Carolina, they didn't have a downfield threat either. I mean, they were throwing to Christian McCaffrey and Greg Olsen. So it'll be a lot of that in New England.
Honestly, I think that New England, this is a great fit for New England. I still think Buffalo wins the East, but I think New England has played themselves now into the conversation of, depending on what Belichick magic does with Cam Newton. I mean, if Cam Newton is a superstar, Buffalo may not win the East this year.
And it debunks this whole idea that was going around that was actually ludicrous to me, that people thought the Patriots would do this, but they were tanking this year so they could get Trevor Lawrence in next year's draft. So we're just going to stick with Stidham and we'll be fine with him because we're going to get Trevor Lawrence next year. They're like, hey.
Even if New England tanks, they're nowhere near as bad as 3 or 4 NFL teams. So it's just, there's too much talent on that team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Their worst season is probably going to be 8-8, and that would be their worst campaign. And you might see 8-8 this year, maybe 9-7. I still think Buffalo wins this division. But Buffalo is only going to go as far as Josh Allen takes them. And if Josh Allen is inconsistent, then Buffalo's going to be they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. I mean, consider the fact that you're now playing a very difficult schedule.
Yeah,
because you're wrapped up with the NFC West, and you're wrapped up with I want to say the.
It's the AFC West.
The AFC and the NFC West.
Yeah, because you're playing Kansas City, and you didn't both end up in the same position in the conference.
So there's going to be some very entertaining football games for the Bills
on a Thursday night in Buffalo, I believe, right?
Late September. Yes, there will be an interesting.
You want to do Running Point live from Orchard Park on the Friday before?
Oh, I would love to do that. Trust me on that one. Yeah, a live rendition of Running Point from the Bills Mafia tailgate, where Anthony will be thrown through a table because he's wearing Chiefs garb.
Loud and proud.
Yeah, I actually would kind of like to see that if it doesn't hurt you, where they just pick you up. And
I'm already in a wheelchair. What kind of damage can they do at this point?
I'm just saying it would be interesting. There's a really good friend of mine who has an unbelievably successful podcast, and we want to get her on the show when she has time. Brittany Mollis is a huge Browns fan, And she had told me, because she knows I'm a huge Bills fan. She says, Ron, I have to go to Orchard Park, and I want to be gone. I want to go through a table. I'm like, do you understand how stupid that sounds? You don't want to do that. She goes, no. She says, I want to be put through a table in a Bills tailgate. I'm like, have you seen some of these guys miss their target and knock themselves out?
Even if you don't, you're going through a table and then right to a concrete floor.
Unless you have an air mattress underneath.
Which you don't. It's Bills. It's
There's
Buffalo.
no way I'm doing that.
No.
You can't pay me enough money to do that. I'm like, okay, there's Bills fans that are normal.
I can see it now. Poe knows how to break a table.
There's no way you cannot pay. DJ could give me a check, a blank check, and I would look at him and go,
Well, if it's a blank check, you can write whatever you want.
There's still not enough money.
You wouldn't do it for like $300,000?
There's not enough money to put me through a table.
One time jump through a table?
Because with my luck, I hit my spine, break it, and I'm done.
You're paralyzed, but you're rich.
Oh, I'm rich. Yeah, the hospital bills will take my money. No, thank you. Now if I have a padded little, WWE padded little ring, and I go through a table, I might consider it. But when she said this, I was just like, are you out of your mind? Why would you do something like that?
She roots for the Browns, so she's got to be a little bit.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. But it just...
No, I'm sorry. That was a low blow.
I'm in awe every time I go up there to see the chicanery.
They do not skip out on their alcohol.
No. Oh, God, no. No. And they... Molson is the beer of choice up there.
And then when it gets cold up there, you can drink more because you don't feel it.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I remember going to the AFC title game against Kansas City.
Poor Joe.
And as I was walking through the tailgate, it was reasonably cold that day. It was in the low 20s. So I'm walking through the tailgate, and these three knuckleheads are in a hot tub. They brought a hot tub into this tailgate area.
Do it.
And these three knuckleheads are in the hot tub drinking God knows what, inebriated beyond belief.
Before the game even starts. They're gonna miss the game just like you missed OJ's Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, I mean look from the day I was passed out under the I-77 bridge in Canton, Ohio on my 21st birthday, hence missing Joe Namath, Roger Staubach, and O.J. Simpson's Hall of Fame speech. I learned a very, very powerful lesson. You don't get hammered in a tailgate. You have a few. Eat a bratwurst or whatever food is there, and go watch the game. I'm not going to pay $12 for a beer or whatever. I'm going to have my fill of food and my fill of drink at the tailgate lot, and then I'm going to meander myself into the stadium, maybe get a bag of peanuts, and there you go. That's what I'm going to do. I'll have a bag of peanuts and a beer or water, and that's it. Because I've already had my fill of beer and my fill of tailgate food. So let me ask you, tailgating.
Yeah.
What kind of food do you want to do on a tailgate? I'm
a burger and a hot dog kind of guy. I like to have my meat and my bread. It feels like tailgates.
Yeah.
I'm pretty picky, so I'm not hard to please. Just give me a hamburger, give me a hot dog. Don't put anything on it.
You want nothing on your hot dog?
No.
All right. Okay.
And I don't even see it. I don't even like I don't like the burnt hot dogs that are like black.
Yeah.
No, I just cook it, give it to me unburnt.
Yeah.
Give me a bun.
Okay, you have to have a grill on the tailgating.
Yep.
That there's no two ways about that. You must have a grill. I really dig this, and in the fall, if you all want to do this, you'll thank me later. On a Saturday night, get a plastic container, fill it with a 12-ounce beer, put the entire contents of the beer in this container, drop 2 bratwursts into the beer, leave it overnight. Leave it in its plastic container. Leave it. Put it in a cooler. Take it with you to the tailgate lot. Put those bad boys on the grill. I swear to you, you will thank me later. Beer-soaked bratwurst is phenomenal.
My uncle, when we go to Kaufman Stadium, he brings a smoker.
There you go.
To tailgate.
Absolutely.
And he puts all kind of meat on that.
Okay. Pulled pork?
Pulled pork.
Yeah.
He'll put brisket in there.
Yeah.
Brisket's big in Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, the Kansas City barbecue sauce to die for.
Gates. It's where it's at.
Yeah.
I'm going to Kansas City. I'll bring you some. What kind of barbecue sauce? Like what range? You like a hot, extra hot, mild?
Let me go mild.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go mild. Because the Kansas City one, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kansas City is brown sugar based.
Well, it's just I think Casey Masterpiece might be. I don't know about Gates barbecue.
All right, I look forward to it.
Stay. You want me to stay safe and bring you a mild?
Give me a mild and give me a hot. I'll pay for one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Gates, you can't get it anywhere unless you order it online.
Yeah,
you got to. It's not like Casey Masterpiece that's sold everywhere.
Exactly. Gates is the barbecue place.
Yep.
But that no one has ever heard of outside of Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Alabama. If you go to a barbecue place in Alabama, there's just a million of them. Dreamland Barbecue is phenomenal. It's all over the state, and it's the best secret to the other 49 states. Dreamland Barbecue. I told when I was still at the Sports Animal, and we had Rob Schmidt on, who we will have on during basketball season, much like we'll also have, hopefully, Coach Phillips, maybe an assistant coach during football season at YSU. We'll have them on once a week. When we were told that the basketball team was headed down to Alabama for a game last year, he said, because normally they have a team dinner. And I told him, I said, are you guys going to do a barbecue? Yeah, we're pretty sure we're going to do Dreamland Barbecue. You will thank me later.
Yep.
Go down there. The next week, I'm like, so what was it? Oh, my God, best thing I've ever had, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah. It's that the South is known for their barbecue. It is as good as advertised, better in some places. But I will tell you this. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in Tennessee. I've been to Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, South and North Carolina, and Florida. You cannot get a pizza worth anything in any of those states. They're garbage. In which I've said...
I got food poisoning from pizza in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
I won't call out the establishment.
To which I have said to some of the people that own really good pizza places, Belleria, Wedgwood, and about 5 or 6 other really, really good pizza places. You guys want to make a mint and then some. Get yourself down to Mississippi or Alabama or Georgia or Florida. Not necessarily Florida, because a lot of Northerners are now infiltrating that state. Go to Tennessee, Kentucky, and some of these other places and open up a pizza place. You will make a mint.
Yeah, because you'll be, other than the people that eat the franchises, Pizza Hut, you'll be it.
That's it.
I mean...
And once people have had that kind of pizza, they're going to be like, oh, no, we got to have that.
Yeah, I got food poisoning from pizza in Tuscaloosa the night we were supposed to leave, so we had to stay an extra day. And it was not fun. Not fun. I didn't eat pizza for a couple months after that, because your body just doesn't trust it after a while if you've been poisoned by it.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that's it. I was in Nashville, and someone told me, "Oh, you got to try this pizza. It's phenomenal." Took one bite, and I was like, "This is garbage. What are you talking about? Phenomenal? This is garbage."
I'd rather have DiGiorno's.
Yeah, I mean, just give me DiGiorno's. This is better than this crap. What are you talking about? I said I could go to Youngstown and have 20 different pizza places that run laps around this grade A dog food you just gave me.
You go to Athens, Georgia, they'll hand you a Lunchables pizza and say, "Here you go. This is the best pizza in town."
Wow. Well, you couldn't have said Atlanta. You're going to say Athens, Georgia for a wow. Okay. And the digs from our Ramblin' Wreck Georgia Tech guy.
Got to get one in.
Yeah, it seems to be a daily thing when we're on the air. We're going to take a final timeout, back with more. It is a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com.
Hey, my Ohio friends, it's Mike Ditka, and I know great talent and heart when I see it. I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are average real estate agents, then there are true champions. Kelly Warren is one of those champions, and you have her right there in your own backyard. Kelly outmarkets and outsells every agent in the Mahoning Valley. If Kelly can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, Kelly will buy it. Get your home sold. Call Kelly Warren today at 717-2689 or go online to kellysoda.com and start packing.
You can feel it. Baird Brothers' traditional craftsmanship. You can see it. Baird Brothers' timeless style. And you can afford it. And find everything at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is real hardwood, yet beautifully affordable. Floors, moldings, interior doors, bar rails, and stair parts. All within your means and without a care. Start at BairdBrothers.com. You have made it. Your home.
Teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Hey, just a reminder as we welcome you back on a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Just a reminder, coming up on Wednesday, Brian Tolnar will have the PGA scene and one more very unique little tidbit on how to play effective golf. I love listening to his tips, and we will preview the upcoming PGA tournament events. Anthony will give the winner out, to which I will go down to Mountaineer after the show is over and place money on whoever Anthony tells me is going to win this event. And we will also hear Brian Tolnar with his tip of the week. That'll be coming up on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Coming up at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, we will hear from former minor league baseball player Scott Knox. And something that really has not been said very much is the aspect of minor league baseball is probably not going to be played at all in 2020. And the ramifications of having 1 year with no baseball, where minor leaguers' growth is going to be stopped completely for 1 year. This has a potentially catastrophic type of feel to it long term for baseball. We're going to get into that with Scott Knox because, again, this has not been said all that much. if you have a top-notch prospect and that prospect doesn't play for an entire year, I mean, look no further, Indians fans, than Tristan McKenzie, who is one of the 3 or 4 top prospects in the Indians organization. He didn't play at all in 2019. Now, he is on the 60-man roster as we are about to start spring training, and I use air quotes, spring training, up in Cleveland, as we're going to have a very shortened 60-game season. Tristan McKenzie's on the 60-man roster. This guy didn't play at all in 2019, and he played very little in 2018. You can't tell me that he's ready to play Major League Baseball right now. And my fear is no minor league baseball. The minor league system is going to be very bizarre in 2021 without all of this stuff going on, because 48 teams, or 42 teams, excuse me, on the chopping block, and there's a really good chance those 42 teams are kicked out of minor league baseball. Add to the fact that you're not going to have minor league baseball this year, and these prospects will have gone a whole year without playing competitive minor league baseball. Man, that doesn't bode well for minor league baseball in 2021.
Yeah, and like you said, it's going to change. Things are going to change because, one, we talked about at the top of the broadcast, some kids are going to get opportunities this year, and that 6-year clock is going to start. And that's going to change things in the future, too. We'll see, if Cleveland is going to be willing to start that clock on some people or not. They're pretty much a frugal franchise. I don't know if they will.
Many, many thanks to our guest, Matt Aldomore, the new head football coach of the Lisbon Blue Devils, called in at 12:15. Dana Ballas checks in every Monday at 1 o'clock. We thank him very much. And we thank for those of you listening in and for those of you that called in. Had a good time. We'll do it again on Wednesday. It is Running Point on ysnlive.com. Talk to you Wednesday.